If you have felt the silence get louder, if your old life suddenly feels too small, if people are pulling away, doors are closing, and nothing is making sense, that is not destruction. That is divine rearrangement. That is the whisper before the wonder. That is spirit moving furniture in the invisible, because something big is about to walk through the door. When nothing outside of you makes sense, but everything inside you feels full, you are on the edge of divine manifestation. You are standing where the old dissolves and the new begins, not because you forced it, not because you chased it, but because your vibration has outgrown the former thing. And what you feel now is not confusion. It is the womb of demonstration preparing to birth your next chapter. If you felt stake it for isolation, don't mistake it. Don't mistake it for abandonment. It is heaven pulling you into position. Spirit removes distractions before deliverance. Spirit silences noise before a new instruction. Spirit separates you not to punish, but to crown. You are not being rejected. You are being refined. If you feel unusually emotional, strangely sensitive, deeply exhausted, this is not weakness. This is energetic clearing. Your nervous system is recalibrating to hold more joy, more purpose, more abundance. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. Your field is stretching to receive the manifestation you prayed for, but could not imagine. Do not let this discomfort lie to you. This is the ache of alignment. This is what it feels like when the invisible begins to press into form. Your cells are preparing for the shift. Your timeline is preparing for acceleration. Your good is closer than breath, and the pressure is not punishment. It is prophecy. This is the edge. This is the verge. This is what it feels like the moment before it arrives. Not calm, not quiet, but electric, holy unrest. And if you're feeling this, you are not lost. You are not late. You are in position. Your word is the final key. Now we speak it, because what you feel is the sign. And what you speak is the command. The silence you feel is not absence. It is alignment. And you must now stop calling it loneliness. Stop calling it delay. Stop calling it a void. Because it is none of these things. It is a sacred chamber. It is the holy pause between the words spoken and the form appearing. You are not alone in this silence. You are not forgotten in this stillness. You are being prepared, attuned, refined. The silence is not a punishment. It is a tuning fork, a spiritual calibration that says, the old cannot walk with you here. The noise cannot come with you now. Be still and know. You are not being locked out. You are being led within. The world outside may seem quiet. The prayers unanswered. The signs unclear. But what you are feeling is not emptiness, it is alignment. It is the rearranging of all things on your behalf. In the silence, heaven moves fastest. In the quiet, divine law arranges perfectly, and what looks like nothing happening is often everything happening beneath the surface. Do not misjudge this holy hush. Do not mistake divine construction for spiritual delay. You are standing in a sacred hour, the hour where nothing moves on the outside, because everything is shifting on the inside. Your vibration is changing. Your rhythm is stabilizing. Your soul is being stretched to hold the blessing it once only dreamed of. This is the pause that precedes the power. This is the silence that sets the stage for the sound of manifestation. Declare now. This silence is my sanctuary. This silence is my signal. This silence is divine. You are being summoned into agreement with your own prayer. You are being asked to match the frequency of what you have asked for. You are being invited to walk in the knowing before the seeing, to speak in rhythm before results. Because manifestation is not proof of belief. It is the result of unwavering alignment. This silence is not a lack of answers. It is the law waiting for your full alignment. Spirit does not withhold. Spirit waits for agreement. And in this quiet, heaven is asking, can you speak as if it's done? Can you believe when nothing around you affirms it? Can you rest in the knowing that divine timing is not slow? It is precise. The silence is sacred. The silence is strategy. The silence is surrender. And surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. It is saying, I do not need noise to be certain. I do not need proof to feel peace. I do not need answers to be aligned. Because my word has gone forth, my desire has been declared, and now I stand anchored in faith, unshaken by delay, unmoved by appearances. Say it now, I am not afraid of this silence. I am not abandoned in this stillness. I am being readied for my release. Spirit whispers in the quiet, law listens in the pause. And if your world has gone still, it is, because your new world is rising. It is not far, it is not hidden, it is forming, it is aligning, it is responding to your decree, and every second of this silence is coded with divine design. Do not rush this hour, do not resist the stillness, walk through it with reverence, breathe in the alignment. Let the quiet teach you what noise never could, because in this holy silence you are becoming the one who can hold what you asked for. You are becoming the one who governs, not guesses. Commands, not hopes. Declares, not doubts. Say it again. This silence is my alignment. This stillness is my signal. My demonstration is not delayed. It is developing. The world may not see it. The timeline may not show it. But spirit is not ruled by evidence. Spirit is ruled by agreement. And your agreement must now be firm. Your word must remain law. Your silence must not be filled with fear. It must be filled with faith. Because the moment will come, the door will open, the form will appear. But when it does, you will not be surprised. You will not be shocked. You will not say, finally. You will say, of course. Because you knew. You felt it. You walked through the silence and you did not shrink. You did not doubt. You did not back down. You stood and you spoke and you waited in alignment. And now the silence breaks. The shift begins. The form appears. Not because you chased it, not because you forced it, but because you understood the silence. You honored the stillness. And in that honoring, you became the match. You became the word. You became the law. Say it now. I honor the silence. I align with the law. I am ready for the form. And so it is. The emotional intensity you feel is not weakness. It is spiritual contraction. It is not instability. It is not chaos. It is not something to run from. It is a divine sign, a holy tremor, a labor pain of the spirit preparing to birth something massive, something precise, something that belongs only to you. You are not unraveling. You are being remade. You are not falling apart. You are falling into divine alignment. The tears, the tight chest, the swelling in your throat, that is not sorrow. That is saturation. That is spiritual saturation. It is the weight of answered prayer pressing on your field before it takes form. This is not emotional breakdown. This is energetic breakthrough. And what feels like too much is not meant to crush you. It is meant to carry you across a vibrational threshold. You are not malfunctioning. You are transforming. You are expanding beyond your former shell. You are rising through the frequencies of your old identity, shedding the skin of delay, climbing into the vibration of divine fulfillment. In your body, your emotions, your nervous system, they feel it first, because the heart always knows before the eyes can see. The soul always responds before the form appears. You are not being punished by feeling too much. You are being positioned by it. The intensity is proof that you are not numb anymore. It is proof that you are in range of the miracle. It is proof that your desire is already in motion and your vessel is adjusting to hold it. You cannot carry the next dimension of your good with a frozen heart. You must feel. You must soften. You must let the fire come through, the shaking, the pulsing, the weeping. It is a divine cleansing. It is the clearing of old codes, old doubts, old resistances. Say it now. These emotions are not weakness. They are waves of divine reordering. I do not push them away. I breathe through them with truth. You are not meant to escape your emotions. You are meant to ride them like a holy tide. Let them rise. Let them crest. Let them crash and fall and wash you clean of every belief that ever said you were too much, too sensitive, too dramatic, too late. These feelings are not excess. They are evidence. They are sacred indicators that your spirit is responding to the new. Your body is catching up with your decree. Your heart is stretching into alignment with your word. The pressure you feel in your chest is not anxiety. It is spiritual adjustment. It is the soul cracking open the walls of limitation. You no longer fit inside. The ache you feel is the echo of your old self departing. The fire in your belly is the announcement of your new identity arriving. You are not collapsing. You are being crowned. Declare this aloud. I welcome the intensity. I recognize the signs. I understand that what I feel is proof that what I asked for is here. You have not failed by feeling deeply. You have passed through the numbness that delays so many. You have made it to the edge of the miracle, and your body knows. Your emotions know. Your spirit knows. The contraction is not forever. It is the squeeze before the expansion, the pull before the push, the trembling before the triumph. Do not medicate this moment. Do not numb it. Do not label it. Hold it. Honor it. Listen to what your soul is saying underneath the tears, underneath the breathlessness. It is whispering, I am arriving, I am aligning, I am ready. You are being emptied of fear so you can be filled with faith. You are being wrung out of doubt so you can be drenched in demonstration. You are being stretched not to break, but to become. And every surge of emotion is spirit saying, you are not who you were. You are the one who governs now. Say it again. I am not breaking. I am birthing. I am not overwhelmed. I am overfilling. I feel this because my good is near. There is nothing wrong with you. There never was. You are a spiritual instrument being tuned for a higher note, a vessel being strengthened for a greater glory. Let the tears fall. Let the waves crash. Let the heat rise. And do not shrink. Do not apologize. Do not second guess this process. You are the proof that the law is working. You are the evidence that the desire is already in your field. And what feels unbearable now will soon become undeniable joy. Say this aloud now. I accept the fire. I walk through the flood. I let the emotion move through me as truth. My desire is forming. My being is aligning. And so it is. The disconnection you feel is not rejection. It is redirection. It is not exile. It is not abandonment. It is not failure. It is the hand of heaven pulling you away from what can no longer go with you. You are not being cast out. You are being called up. What feels like loss is divine protection. What feels like separation is spiritual positioning. You are not being removed because you are unworthy. You are being released because you are ready. You must understand. There are people, paths, and patterns that were never meant to remain in your next chapter. There are attachments that would delay your demonstration if allowed to linger. And so Spirit severs them, not out of punishment, but out of precision, out of mercy, out of love. The space you feel around you is not a void. It is a sanctuary. It is sacred clearance for your good to arrive. Say this now. This disconnection is not the end. It is the beginning of divine alignment. I do not resist it. I receive it. Do not mourn the silence of those who have gone quiet. Do not chase the hands that have let go. Their exit is not your loss. It is your permission. Their absence is not your wound. It is your healing. Spirit has removed the false, the fractured, the fear-based, so the true may find you. Spirit has cleared the echoes so the original sound of your soul can rise. You may feel alone, but you are not abandoned. You may feel misunderstood, but you are being clarified. Spirit is not isolating you to punish you. Spirit is sanctifying you to prepare you. What you once called rejection is divine refinement. What you once saw as betrayal is heaven moving you faster toward your inheritance. Nothing real can be lost, and what is gone now was never aligned with your becoming. Declare this aloud. Every disconnection is divine direction. I trust what Spirit removes. I bless what spirit clears. You must stop trying to resurrect what spirit has buried. You must stop feeding energy to expired contracts. The release is sacred. The removal is holy. You asked to rise, and now you are rising. And not everything or everyone is meant to come with you. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. That is covenant. That is spiritual law, rearranging your atmosphere to match your decree. What no longer returns your energy no longer deserves your effort. What no longer reflects your vibration no longer holds your place. The doors that closed did not lock you out. They set you free. And the rooms you've been removed from, those were never your kingdom. You are not seeking a seat at their table anymore. You are building a temple of your own. Say it again. I do not cling to what has gone. I honor the release. I walk in new alignment. Do not be fooled by appearances. The empty space is full of divine instruction. The quiet is a symphony of spiritual reordering. You are being unhooked from distraction, unplugged from false comfort, unentangled from delays you could not see. You are being realigned, rewired, remembered. Because heaven is not interested in preserving your comfort. Heaven is interested in fulfilling your calling. When the people fall away, you rise. When the path disappears, you build. When the familiar dissolves, the holy is revealed. You are not being pushed out. You are being pulled forward. And the space around you is not a sign of lack. It is sacred staging. It is spiritual architecture. It is law removing the unnecessary to make room for the ordained. Say this aloud now. I release all that is no longer aligned. I trust the space. I trust the silence. I walk forward with peace. You do not need to explain your disconnection. You do not need to justify your shift. You only need to bless it and keep walking. Because what awaits you is not behind you. What was removed was never the source. It was only a shadow. And now you walk toward the substance. Let the empty spaces breathe. Let the quiet moments hold you. Let the closed doors become your sign. Because you are not lost. You are being led. You are not rejected. You are being rerouted. You are not alone. You are aligned. And what is aligned cannot be delayed. Say it one final time. This disconnection is divine. This redirection is righteous. I walk boldly into the new. And so it is. The restlessness you feel is not confusion. It is activation. It is not chaos. It is not disorder. It is not something to silence. It is something to listen to. This divine agitation within you, this stirring in your soul, this vibration under your skin. It is not a sign to stop. It is your confirmation to move. You are not being pulled apart. You are being pulled forward. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. The restlessness is not proof of misalignment. It is proof that alignment is near. It is the signal that your manifestation is brushing against the edge of your reality, waiting for your agreement, waiting for your step, waiting for your yes, say now. This restlessness is holy. This stirring is sacred. This movement is my invitation. You are not meant to stay still when your spirit begins to burn. You are not meant to deny the fire in your belly or the urge in your chest. The quickening you feel is not random. It is divine electricity running through your nervous system saying, it is time. It is time to act. It is time to build. It is time to say yes. The vibration in your body is heaven's way of saying, the window is open. The gate is ready. The next step is prepared. You feel this because your good is near. The unease is not a warning. It is a whisper, a divine whisper that says, you are growing too big for this place. You are being summoned beyond these limits. You may not see the full picture yet. You may not know the entire plan, but the path is not built with sight. It is built with steps. You are not being called to certainty. You are being called to motion, and the restlessness is the rhythm of your new season trying to match your movement. Declare it aloud. I do not fear the restlessness. I respond to it. I walk forward in faith, not perfection. Do not suppress what your body knows. Do not quiet what your soul is saying. The stirring in your spirit is not anxiety. It is alignment. It is the internal evidence that what you've prayed for is awakening in the field. You feel restless because your current reality no longer holds your fullest vibration. You are vibrating beyond your old life. You are expanding beyond your old shell. And Spirit is saying, move with me now. Don't delay. Do not ask for more clarity. Act on what you already know. Do not wait for external permission. The inner confirmation has already come. When your soul begins to stir, that is not the time to sit in logic. That is the time to stand in decree. Heaven does not speak in volume. Heaven speaks in vibration. And your restlessness is the vibration of divine instruction. It is not just emotion. It is direction. It is not just discomfort. It is divine delivery. You are being nudged, not punished. Pulled, not pushed. Prepared, not passed over. Say again, my restlessness is not a burden. It is a blessing. It is my spiritual signal to move. You do not need to have the full plan. You only need to trust the pull. Spirit unfolds the path for those who walk in faith. You are not meant to know every step. You are meant to honor the first one. And as you step, more is shown. As you speak, more is revealed. As you move, the door opens. But only when you align your rhythm with the call. And that is why the restlessness comes, to wake you up, to say, stop waiting, stop wondering, start moving. You have outgrown the space you are in, and your soul knows it. Your destiny is tugging at your edges. Your good is knocking at the border of your belief, and Spirit is calling you not to figure it out, but to feel it through. The restlessness is the ache of your next life calling you home. You are not lost. You are being guided by the vibration of divine law. Every tremble in your chest is a note in the song of your expansion. Every twitch in your spirit is the rhythm of readiness. Say it now with breath. I honor the restlessness. I welcome the stirring. I step forward with spiritual certainty. You do not need a reason to act. You only need resonance. You do not need evidence. You only need alignment. Your next step is waiting. And the restlessness will not quiet until you move in harmony with it. Spirit is not asking you to make sense. It is asking you to say yes. Say yes in motion. Say yes in energy. Say yes in declaration. Because once you do, the restlessness becomes momentum. The stirring becomes structure. The vibration becomes vision. And what felt like unease becomes undeniable peace. You are not stuck. You are being summoned. You are not unsure. You are being recalibrated. The fire is not frustration. The fire is your key. Say it again. I move with the rhythm. I act on the stirring. I walk in divine timing. And so it is. The strange signs you see are not accidents. The numbers repeating, the names that echo, the sudden delays, the divine detours, none of it is random. You are not imagining the pattern. You are not reaching. You are not confused. You are being communicated with. Spirit is speaking. The universe is arranging. The signs are not coincidence. They are confirmation. You asked for a signal, and the signal has arrived. You asked for alignment, and the pattern is the proof. When reality begins to shimmer, when the day begins to pulse with invisible order, when the usual feels unusual and the familiar turns symbolic, that is when you know. Manifestation is near. Say now, I see the signs. I feel the rhythm. I walk in the knowing. The spiritual world is not silent. It is musical. It speaks in symbols. It speaks in sensation. It speaks in the hidden alignment between what is seen and what is sacred. You are not being teased by fate. You are being shown the fingerprints of God. You are being handed breadcrumbs of your own becoming. These patterns, these numbers, these whispers, these delays, these sparks, they are not distractions. They are direction. You are not off track. You are deeply on it. Let every repeating number remind you, you are not lost. You are led. Let every delay remind you, you are not being denied. You are being perfectly aligned. Let every coincidence remind you, you are walking in the script of divine design. You ask for clarity, and clarity comes not as a voice, but as a vibration. The signs are not meant to convince you. They are meant to confirm what your soul already knows. Declare this aloud. I do not doubt the signs. I welcome the symbols. I interpret through spirit, not fear. This is not superstition. This is law. This is not fantasy. This is frequency. When you enter the vibration of alignment, reality begins to reflect it back to you. When your prayer becomes belief, the world begins to mirror the prayer. And the mirror shows itself in numbers, in names, in repeated visions, in sudden inner knowings that could not have come from logic. Spirit is not limited to language. Spirit speaks through the arrangement of your world. Do not dismiss it. Do not call it coincidence. Do not water down the wonder. When you see the signs, say thank you. When the number returns again, affirm your alignment. When the opportunity delays, know it is divine. When the door closes, know it is choreography. Nothing is off. Nothing is broken. Everything is coded in message. You are surrounded by spiritual intelligence that rearranges matter on your behalf. The signs are the residue of that movement. Say it again. I read the signs. I trust the signals. I walk with open eyes and a faithful heart. You were never meant to manifest in blindness. You were never meant to wander without witness. The divine has placed symbols on your path to awaken your remembrance, to stir your knowing, to protect you from haste and keep you from harm. You are not waiting for manifestation. Manifestation is waiting for your agreement with the signs. The more you honor the pattern, the clearer it becomes. The more you affirm the divine, the louder it speaks. Do not say, I need a bigger sign. The signs are not weak. The signs are precise. You do not need louder proof. You need deeper recognition. You are not disconnected. You are divinely observed. Every alignment you notice is the universe echoing back your desire. Every symbol you see is a preview of what is already forming. You do not need to understand how. You only need to say yes. Yes to the guidance. Yes to the mystery. Yes to the invisible choreography. Declare, I see the divine in the details. I speak to the pattern. I move with the signs. I trust what I see. Do not rush the season. Do not force the sign into form. Receive it. Rest in it. Respond with reverence. Spirit does not need to shout. Spirit shows. And you are being shown. The signs are sacred. They are not just hints. They are decrees. They are not just nudges. They are maps. The repeating number is a gate. The sudden stop is a turn. The strange dream is a message. The deep feeling is a compass. Everything is moving with you. Say it now in rhythm. I trust the choreography. I trust the timing. I trust the way signs unfold. This is the rhythm of manifestation, not rushed, not silent, but patterned, precise, prophetic. Your only task is to read the rhythm and stay in agreement. Your only work is to interpret without fear, speak without doubt, follow without hesitation. The divine has spoken. The field is forming, and the signs are proof. Proof that the heavens are not silent. Proof that your desire is not denied. Proof that the law is already in motion. So, speak it once more. I walk by sign and by spirit. I read the pattern. I follow the pulse. I am not confused. I am confirmed. And so it is, the peace that falls over you suddenly, without reason, without warning, without logic. That peace is not ordinary. It is not mild. It is not empty. It is not a break in the storm. It is the beginning of the answer. You are not calm because nothing is happening. You are calm because something is. Heaven is moving. Spirit is working. The current has turned in your favor. That sudden stillness in your soul is not random. It is prophetic. It is the signature of divine ordering over your life like oil from above. Say now, this peace is my proof. This calm is my confirmation. This stillness is sacred. You are not crazy for feeling calm while everything around you looks the same. You are not wrong for trusting what the world cannot yet see. The miracle does not arrive with noise. It arrives with knowing. It does not come with fanfare. It comes with frequency, and that frequency is peace. Not the peace that comes after things are fixed, but the peace that comes before. the peace that defies evidence, the peace that is not waiting for facts, the peace that whispers, "It is already done." You are not imagining this calm. You are embodying the vibration of fulfillment. You are not shutting out fear. You are rising into law. You are not ignoring your circumstances. You are transcending them. The inner quiet, the lightness in your chest, the holy hush that covers your thoughts. That is heaven saying, you have entered the zone of answered prayer. You are no longer sending the signal of doubt. You are vibrating in receipt. Declare it now. I do not wait for peace. I dwell in it. I do not beg for peace. I become it. Peace is the language of spirit. It is the tone of answered prayer. It is the atmosphere of demonstration. You cannot fake it. You cannot force it. But when you align, it arrives. And when it does, let it speak to you. Let it hold you. Let it remind you. Something has shifted. Something has moved. You are now walking in the rhythm of what has already begun. The peace you feel is not relief. It is recognition. You have stepped into the current of creation. Most people search for peace after the evidence appears. But in divine law, peace precedes proof. Peace is not the result. Peace is the signal. When the mind quiets, when the body softens, when the soul exhales without needing a reason, that is when manifestation is closest, because you are no longer resisting, you are no longer striving, you are no longer praying from panic, you are receiving from presence. Say aloud, my calm is my calling, my peace is my pathway, my stillness is my certainty. You do not need to explain it. You do not need to justify it. You do not need the world to understand your peace. You only need to walk in it. Carry it like a banner. Let it go before you. Let it follow you. Let it vibrate through every word you speak. Because when you are still on the inside, the outside must follow. The law listens to vibration. The law responds to rhythm. And peace is the rhythm of fulfillment. Do not fear when you feel no need to push. Do not question when the urgency leaves. That is not laziness. That is alignment. You are not less passionate. You are more precise. You are not disconnected. You are deeply in tune. The pressure is gone because the path is open. The striving is silenced because the law has taken over. Your only job now is to stay in agreement with peace. Say it again, slowly. I walk in peace. I live in rhythm. I manifest from rest, not resistance. This is the secret most never learn. The demonstration doesn't come because you stressed over it. It comes when you release it in faith. When your energy says, I already have it, the field begins to obey. When your tone shifts from pleading to praising, the invisible starts to form. And the body knows. The body always knows. That is why you feel light. That is why your mind is no longer racing. That is why your sleep is deeper. Your breath is slower. Your presence is stronger. Peace is your confirmation. Let this be your decree. I trust what peace tells me. I believe what calm confirms. I allow what stillness brings. You are not doing nothing. You are doing the highest thing. Believing. You are not being passive. You are being powerful. Because peace is the place where miracles grow. Peace is the field where manifestation appears. When you dwell in peace, you vibrate like one who already has. And what you already have in spirit must appear in form. Say it now with holy rhythm. I rest in the knowing. I stand in the silence. I receive from the stillness. And so it is. You feel the pull, a strange, holy magnetism, a divine nudge in the quiet moments. You are not content with where you are, not because you are ungrateful, but because your spirit has heard the signal. The next chapter is calling. The next level is pulling. The future has begun whispering your name, and that whisper is not a fantasy. It is a frequency. It is the first breath of manifestation. You are not restless. You are ready. Say this aloud. I feel the pull because the promise is near. I feel the shift because the shape is forming. Do not mistake this stirring for confusion. It is alignment. Do not call this dissatisfaction rebellion. It is remembrance. Your soul knows more than your logic. Your being has registered the new season before your calendar has caught up. And so it begins. The stretch, the ache, the quiet thrill that something unseen is about to be seen. You are not broken. You are blooming. The discomfort you feel is not punishment. It is prophecy. It is the signal that the shell has outgrown the seed, that the nest can no longer hold the wings. You are sensing the approach of what has already been decreed. You are feeling the forward motion of what heaven has prepared. Spirit does not tease you with change. Spirit trains you for it, and this vibration, this holy unrest, is the training ground of transformation. Declare now, I welcome the pull, I honor the shift, I say yes to the unfolding. This is not the time to doubt your knowing. This is not the time to shrink back into logic. The ground beneath you is moving because something greater is emerging. The space is clearing. The old systems are shedding. The past is loosening its grip. Do not panic. Do not analyze. Do not resist. This is what spiritual promotion feels like before it arrives. You are walking into the demonstration your desire has prepared. There will be moments when nothing makes sense. Moments when the old no longer satisfies and the new has not yet appeared. But you are not lost in the middle. You are anchored in the birth canal of a miracle. This is not a void. This is a vortex. This is the moment when all things begin to converge. You are being repositioned by divine law. The same law that placed the stars is now arranging your next chapter. Say this slowly. I trust the pull. I move with the current. I release the old with gratitude. You are not waiting on signs. You are responding to them. You are not hoping for permission. You are moving in the divine yes. This vibration is not faint. It is firm. It will not go away because it is not a thought. It is a call. You are being summoned into the higher version of your life. And the moment you said yes in your spirit, the invisible began building the bridge. This is why you can't go back. This is why the old feels foreign. This is why your habits feel heavy, because you are not who you used to be. And what is coming cannot meet you in the mindset of yesterday. That ache to evolve is sacred. That desire to expand is divine. Do not silence it. Do not apologize for it. Let it lead you. Let it stretch you. Let it open the gates of what has long been held for you. Declare now, I am not who I was. I am becoming what I spoke. I am entering what I was promised. You are not alone in this stretch. The angels of arrangement have gone ahead of you. The spiritual architects have mapped the next chapter. The path is lit, even when you cannot see it. Your only task is to agree with the vibration. Your only job is to walk in rhythm. When you feel the pull, speak your yes. When you sense the shift, declare your readiness. When the current flows, step in. Say this again. I align with the new. I welcome the next. I follow the pull of divine timing. This is not impatience. This is preparation. This is not restlessness. This is readiness. The next manifestation is not far. It is forming. It is swirling in the unseen. It is orbiting your atmosphere. And the pull you feel is not just spiritual. It is cellular. It is a resonance between your soul and your future. And when you say yes to it, the law begins to accelerate. The pull is proof that you're in the presence of the promise. The ache is evidence that your manifestation is near. The vibration is not fantasy. It is form announcing itself through feeling. Let this be your decree. I do not doubt the pull. I do not fear the shift. I follow the current of creation. Say it once more with power and peace. I am aligned. I am ready. I am walking into my next by divine law, with divine ease, without delay. And so it is. Let us anchor this now, not in thought, not in theory, but in rhythm. Let the vibration seal it. Let the spirit confirm it. You are not standing at the edge of a wish. You are standing at the entrance of a reality. The signs have spoken. The frequency has aligned. The decree has been released. And the gates of manifestation are opening. You are no longer waiting. You are walking. You are no longer asking. You are receiving. You are no longer circling the promise. You are no longer circling the promise. You are entering it with clarity, with authority, with spiritual boldness. The pull you felt was the announcement. The calm you carried was the confirmation. The sentence you spoke was the key. And now the law moves for you. Heaven does not hesitate when you align. The universe does not delay when you decree. Spirit does not withhold when you say yes in rhythm. And your yes has been spoken. Say this aloud now, not as hope, but as holy law. I am aligned. I am chosen. I am in motion. My desire is forming. My path is clear. My word is working. This is your spiritual atmosphere now. This is your daily decree. This is your new default vibration. You are not being tested. You are being trusted. And the more you stay faithful to the sentence, the more reality obeys your vibration. Let the old doubts dissolve. Let the past limitations fall away. You are not the same. You cannot return. You are ascending into the divine structure that has always been yours. And so it is. You may feel the wind change. You may feel the current rise, but do not fear. That is just the sound of your manifestation arriving. Keep your voice steady. Keep your decree alive. Keep your spirit open. You are the vessel. You are the speaker. You are the law in motion. The time is now. The field is ready. Speak, walk, receive. It is already done. And so it is.
There is nothing selfish about abundance. There is nothing unholy about wealth. There is nothing sinful in desiring a full, beautiful, and prosperous life, for life itself is the expression of God's abundance. Every soul was born rich, rich in potential, rich in purpose, rich in divine inheritance. But the world has taught many to believe that money is evil, that comfort is pride, and that prosperity is for a chosen few. That is a lie of limitation, and I break it now with the truth. It is right for me to be rich. Not from greed, not from vanity, but from divine law, because life seeks full expression, and God's life through me seeks to express as prosperity, peace, and joy. When I withhold my good, I deny the flow of God. When I embrace my good, I allow the river of divine substance to flow freely through me. There is no virtue in poverty. There is no holiness in lack. Lack is not of God. It is the shadow that falls when faith is forgotten. So today I remember, God is my supply. God is my abundance. God is my prosperity in action. The same intelligence that made the stars and oceans designed me for increase, not for struggle. Every living thing grows, expands, and expresses more life. The tree stretches toward the Sunday. The river runs toward the sea. And I, too, am created to advance, to rise, to prosper, to shine. I affirm, I am one with infinite substance. Riches flow to me easily and in perfect order. What is mine by divine right cannot miss me. All that I desire already exists in the unseen, waiting for my faith to claim it. I do not chase prosperity. I recognize it as my divine inheritance. I do not beg for blessings. I align with them by thought and word. When I speak prosperity, prosperity listens. When I think abundance, abundance awakens. When I walk in gratitude, doors open of their own accord. God's plan for me includes everything: good comfort, beauty, money, freedom, and peace. To deny that is to deny the Creator's generosity. So I no longer apologize for wanting more. I no longer shrink from my vision of wealth. I no longer call struggle holy. I call freedom holy. I call growth holy. I call increase holy. Because God is not poverty. God is increase. God is progress. God is expansion. God is ever-giving life. Every time I think a thought of prosperity, I open a channel for God to work through me. Every time I give thanks for what I have, I make space for more to come. And every time I help others rise, I multiply my own blessings because divine supply flows where it can bless many. There is no limit in divine mind. There is no ceiling in infinite supply. There is no shortage in spirit, only in thought. And today, I think the thoughts of wealth. I do not look to man for my prosperity. I look to God within me. People and opportunities are channels, not sources. The source is infinite. The channels are many. When one closes, another opens instantly, perfectly, under grace. No door can remain shut to the one who walks by faith. No blessing can be delayed to the one who thinks in truth. Every desire for wealth is the voice of God within me saying, "Grow." Every dream of abundance is the divine blueprint calling me into expression. Every need that rises is the evidence that supply already exists. I live by the law of abundance, not by the law of fear. Fear says, there isn't enough. Faith says, there is always more. Fear clings to the visible. Faith trusts the invisible. And so, I live by faith. I speak the word of increase. I expect miracles. Because what I expect, I attract. What I praise, I multiply. What I love, I magnetize. The world says, work harder. Spirit says, believe deeper. The world says, save everything. Spirit says, trust in divine circulation. The world says, compete. Spirit says, create. And I choose creation the divine way. I am rich because I was created by a rich creator. I am abundant because I live in an abundant universe. I am prosperous because I think prosperous thoughts. Every word I speak sends ripples through the substance of the universe, and that substance responds to me, forming my reality. If I say, I can't afford, the universe agrees. If I say, God provides, the universe agrees. So I speak increase. I speak overflow. I speak divine timing. I speak prosperity into form. Today, I remember my divine right to be rich in love, rich in peace, rich in opportunities, rich in wisdom, rich in every good thing. I am no longer ashamed of my good. I am no longer afraid of abundance. I am no longer apologizing for success. For as I rise in divine order, I lift others with me. My wealth blesses many. My prosperity brings peace. My abundance glorifies God. And so I declare with faith, power, and peace. It is right for me to be rich. Not by greed, but by divine law. Not by struggle, but by grace. Not someday, but now. I am in harmony with infinite supply. I am surrounded by opportunities. I am guided by divine intelligence. And I move in perfect order toward my greatest good. All that I seek is already seeking me. All that I desire already exists. All that I imagine is already forming here, now, under grace, in perfect ways. I am rich in spirit, and therefore rich in substance. I am rich in mind, and therefore rich in manifestation. I am rich in gratitude, and therefore rich in life. I live, move, and breathe in the prosperity of God. And it is done. It is done. It is done. There is a divine law that governs all creation. It is exact, unfailing, eternal. It never sleeps, it never forgets, it never delays. It is the law by which thought becomes thing and faith becomes form. God's universe is not chaos, it is order. It is substance, obedient to the spoken word. The moment you think with faith, the invisible begins to arrange itself to bless you. The moment you speak in confidence, the formless substance begins to take shape. I affirm now, there is only one power, one presence, one source God, the infinite supply. My faith molds this invisible substance into visible abundance. Faith is the hand that draws from the unseen. Faith is the law in motion. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. When I say, I believe, I activate the creative currents of heaven. When I doubt, I interrupt them. So today, I keep my faith steady and my words pure. I no longer wonder how things will happen. I simply know that they are happening. For the divine plan is perfect, and it unfolds for me now, in right order, under grace. I do not force. I do not hurry. I do not worry. I allow. For allowing is faith resting in divine intelligence. When I look at appearances and declare lack, I block the flow. When I look at appearances and declare abundance, I restore it. Therefore, I see plenty where others see shortage, and I speak increase where others speak fear. For my words are creative law. What I decree in faith must appear. I affirm. The invisible substance of God is taking form as my supply. Money is God in action, flowing freely to bless and circulate. Every need is already supplied, every door already open. Faith turns the unseen into the seen. It calls the thing that is not as though it were, and then it becomes. There is no delay in divine mind, only the speed of my acceptance. When I believe quickly, I receive quickly. When I hesitate, I postpone my own miracle. So I believe now. I receive now. I give thanks now. I am not waiting on God. God is waiting on me, waiting for my faith to rise high enough to match my good. Each day I speak the word. Let there be supply. Let there be opportunity. Let there be increase. And it is so. The universe rushes to obey a confident voice. Heaven delights in the soul that trusts. Faith is not hard work. It is holy rest. It is knowing that what I have asked for is already prepared. It is walking in peace while the unseen arranges itself into form. I walk by faith, not by sight. I speak life, not limitation. I declare divine order, not confusion. Every bill that appears is a signal that more supply is on its way. Every delay is divine timing perfecting the outcome. Every challenge is the opportunity for faith to prove itself. I will not let appearances deceive me. I will not let fear distract me. For the law is sure, and the law is good. I rest in the certainty that what is mine by divine right cannot be lost, cannot be delayed, cannot be taken. It is safe in God's keeping until I am ready to receive it. I affirm, I am rich in faith, and therefore rich in results. The substance of wealth moves toward me through every channel of good. Divine order governs my finances, my work, my path. The same law that grows the stars guides my prosperity. The same wisdom that orchestrates the tides orchestrates my success. Therefore, I am calm, I am sure, I am prosperous. I no longer struggle to make things happen. I speak and it happens. I believe and it appears. I thank and it multiplies. Because faith is not hoping, faith is knowing. Knowing that every word spoken in truth moves heaven and earth to fulfill it. So I think only truth. I speak only increase. I expect only good. And the law responds exactly as I believe. The formless substance loves faith. It rushes to fill every mold of confident thought. It delights in certainty. It mirrors conviction. Therefore, my mind is steadfast, my words are firm, my heart is grateful. And the wealth that already exists for me begins to unfold in divine sequence. People, ideas, opportunities, all aligned in perfect timing. I am one with the law of wealth. I am one with the mind of God. I am one with the rhythm of prosperity. All that I need now appears. All that I desire now manifests. All that I imagine now becomes visible, tangible, and complete under grace and in perfect ways. For faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. And my faith is unshakable. My supply is unstoppable. My prosperity is inevitable. It is done. It is done. It is done. Every word you speak is alive. Every word carries vibration. Every word, when spoken in faith, moves through the unseen and calls substance into form. There are no idle words in the kingdom of God. Your voice is the wand of creation. Your decree is the command of spirit. Your speech is the invisible architecture of your destiny. So speak life, and life answers. Speak wealth, and wealth appears. Speak love, and love surrounds you. The universe hears not your wishes, it hears your words. It listens not to your fear, it listens to your faith. You are not a beggar, you are a creator. You do not plead with the universe, you command it in love, in faith, in truth. I affirm now, every word I speak builds the world I live in. I speak increase, I speak peace, I speak plenty. My voice is the voice of divine power, and it does not return void. Every word you speak impresses the invisible substance around you. When you say, I can't, the substance closes. When you say, I can, the substance expands. When you say, I am rich, the substance begins to form riches around you. For your word is the vibration of your belief. You are surrounded by a sea of living energy, the divine substance that hears and obeys your voice. This is why Florence said, your word is your wand. You need not force the outcome. You need only speak the word with faith and gratitude, and the invisible law sets it into motion. So I speak now. Let there be abundance in my home. Let there be expansion in my work. Let there be prosperity in my path. And so it is. The tongue that blesses cannot curse. The voice that praises cannot fear. Therefore, I speak only of what I desire, never of what I dread. I do not repeat words of worry. I do not echo the world's fear. I speak as God speaks with authority, love, and certainty. For I am made in the image of the Creator, and the Creator spoke worlds into being. And if I am one with that power, then every word I speak has creative force. I no longer say, I can't afford. I say, divine supply meets every demand. I no longer say, I'm waiting for my opportunity. I say, divine order now directs my perfect opportunity to me. I no longer say, things are getting worse. I say, every day in every way, my life expands in beauty and abundance. My words are no longer casual, they are sacred. I no longer gossip, complain, or fear aloud, for I know that to speak it is to seed it. Instead, I use my voice to shape heaven into earth. I bless my finances and they grow. I bless my work and it prospers. I bless others and I am blessed in return. Because the law is simple. What you bless increases. What you curse contracts. Therefore, I bless everything that concerns me. I bless the money in my hands. I bless the work before me. I bless the people around me. I bless the opportunities unseen. For as I bless, I rise. And as I rise, the world rises with me. Words spoken in fear bind you to fear. Words spoken in faith free you from limitation. If you have spoken wrongly, speak again, speak truth, and the wrong word is dissolved. The moment you say, I am now guided by divine intelligence, every false idea begins to fall away. When you say, I am supplied from the infinite source, every appearance of lack begins to fade. When you say, I am open and receptive to miracles, the invisible prepares to manifest the impossible. Speak, and you shall see. For the spoken word is the seed of form. Even the smallest word, when spoken with belief, becomes law in your life. One yes in faith can undo 1,000 no's of doubt. One declaration of abundance can erase years of limitation. So I say, I am prosperous now. I am supplied now. I am guided now. I am rich in every area of life now. And the universe, being obedient to faith, says, yes. The voice of fear whispers, be careful. The voice of faith declares, be confident. The voice of lack says, there isn't enough. The voice of truth says, all that I need is here and now. I choose the voice of truth. I let no idle words escape my lips. Every sentence I speak carries the signature of divine creation. When I speak in love, the law acts in love. When I speak in confidence, the law acts with precision. When I speak in gratitude, the law acts with grace. I need not shout, I need not struggle, I need not repeat endlessly. For one word spoken in pure faith is more powerful than 1,000 spoken in fear. Let my speech be sacred. Let my words be wrapped in truth. Let my decrees be firm, loving, and filled with light. Then all that I decree shall be established unto me, and light shall shine upon my path. I close this section with Florence's own rhythm of affirmation. I speak the word of wealth, and wealth obeys. I speak the word of peace, and peace surrounds. I speak the word of success, and success manifests. I speak the word of joy, and joy overflows. I speak the word of divine order, and everything falls into perfect place. For my voice is not small. My word is not empty. My decree is not forgotten. It moves the substance of the universe. It calls heaven to earth. It is the power of creation in my mouth. Therefore, I speak wisely, joyfully, and boldly. And all that I decree by divine law now appears. It is done. It is sealed. It is manifest now, under grace, in perfect ways. Faith that only thinks is a seed asleep. Faith that acts is a seed in bloom. Divine mind never asks me to rush. It simply whispers, "Go now," and the path lights beneath my feet. When Spirit says move, I move without fear, without question, without delay, for obedience is the shortest road to miracles. I affirm. Every action I take is directed by divine intelligence. I am always in the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing. I do not push. I allow. I do not guess. I listen. For the same power that created galaxies also directs my smallest step. When the world says, "Wait until you see the way," Spirit says, "Step, and the way will appear." I step, and it appears. I act only when peace leads me. For peace is the password of divine order. If confusion shouts, I become still. I wait until the still small voice within me says, "Now." And when it says, "Now," I rise calm, certain, unstoppable. Every inspired action carries the whole weight of heaven behind it. One act done under divine direction is worth 1,000 done in human worry. So I move without haste and without hesitation. I act when guided and rest when told. I trust the rhythm of my own divine timing. When I work in fear, I dig holes in sand. When I work in faith, I build upon rock. Therefore, I do all things under grace easily, lovingly, efficiently. I say, Spirit goes before me to prepare my way. The path of my good is made straight and clear. Every detail is handled by infinite intelligence. I do not act to prove myself. I act to express God through me. I do not strive to control. I surrender to divine control. Each day I ask, Spirit, what would you have me do? And when the answer comes, sometimes as a nudge, sometimes as a dream, sometimes as peace, I obey. I send the letter. I make the call. I forgive the debt. I plant the seed. I walk through the open door. And every obedient act multiplies my blessings, for divine guidance followed is divine increase received. Action under divine guidance is never hurried. It is poised, perfect, and productive. I may seem to move slowly, yet every step brings me exactly where I must be. When I act with love, the universe cooperates. When I act with faith, doors swing open of their own accord. When I act with gratitude, my work becomes worship. Therefore, every task becomes holy. Cooking, writing, speaking, creating, all are instruments of abundance when done in obedience and joy. The law of action is simple. Act when you are inspired, rest when you are uncertain. For inspiration is God's green light, and confusion is the yellow that says, pause. I no longer act from fear of missing out. I act from faith of being guided. If ever doubt whispers, what if you fail? I answer, divine mind cannot fail. If fear says, what if it doesn't work? I reply, It already works in unseen ways. Then I take another step, confident, calm, expectant. I affirm again. Every inspired action prospers me. Nothing I do in faith is wasted. Every obedient movement multiplies my good. For God cannot lead me wrong. Each instruction I follow unfolds the next. Each door I enter opens another. I live in a divine sequence of perfect unfoldment. I act with joy. I act with certainty. I act with grace. Even small actions, done in obedience, release great results. A gentle word brings reconciliation. A simple idea becomes a fortune. A single act of generosity opens a floodgate of supply. There is no competition in divine action, only cooperation. As I obey, others are guided to obey with me. Together, we weave the pattern of prosperity designed by the infinite planner. So I move in faith and rest in peace. I know that every true impulse within me is divine instruction. I am never behind schedule, never too early, never too late. I live in divine timing, always on time in God's time. I am the calm doer, not the anxious struggler. I am the inspired vessel, not the desperate worker. I act with precision, and my results appear with perfection. All that I do prospers. All that I touch succeeds. All that I begin completes itself in joy. For I no longer act from human will, I act from divine direction. And divine direction never fails. It is done. It is sealed. It is manifest now under grace, in perfect ways. Gratitude turns the invisible into the visible. It is not a feeling you wait for, it is a vibration you choose. It is the acknowledgement that good is already yours, even before your eyes behold it. The grateful heart never lives in lack. It lives in the continual awareness that all is well, and all is coming. When I wake, I say, "Thank you, Infinite Spirit, for this new day of increase and joy." When I receive, I say, "Thank you, for this blessing multiplies itself through me." When I wait, I say, "Thank you, for unseen forces are arranging everything for my good." Gratitude is not an afterthought, it is a creative force. It opens channels that effort alone can never reach. A heart in gratitude is a magnet for continuous supply. What you thank expands. What you appreciate multiplies. What you bless becomes more. Even when appearances seem small, gratitude sees the seed of greatness within them. It whispers, "This too shall prosper." And by that whisper, the seed grows into a forest of blessing. So I give thanks not because everything is perfect, but because perfection is being revealed through everything. I affirm, I am thankful before I see. I am grateful before I receive. Every breath I take draws in more good. Gratitude keeps me connected to Source. It tunes my vibration to prosperity. It tells the universe, I am ready for more. Faith, the bridge between thought and thing. Faith is the spiritual eyesight that sees what the physical cannot. It is the inner conviction that God's promise is already fulfilled. It does not question, it knows. It does not beg, it expects. When appearances contradict my prayer, faith says, it is already done. When time seems long, faith says, it is arriving in perfect sequence. When fear whispers, what if? Faith answers, God never fails. Faith is the spiritual law in action, the bridge between the idea and its form. It is invisible but unbreakable. I affirm, I have perfect faith in divine law. What I desire is already complete in spirit. I walk in assurance that my word is law. Faith does not depend on logic. It depends on divine law, which never changes. It is stronger than conditions, louder than doubt, and greater than delay. Faith speaks when the evidence is silent. Faith acts when the path is unseen. Faith thanks before the manifestation. I no longer measure my progress by what I see. I measure it by what I know, and I know that God is always working on my behalf. Every step I take in faith shortens the distance between desire and manifestation. For when I believe, I receive, and belief is the switch that turns on divine supply. Purpose, the golden compass of prosperity. Purpose gives direction to faith. It focuses the light of gratitude. It transforms vague wishing into clear intention. Without purpose, thought drifts like mist. With purpose, it becomes a laser of creation. My purpose is not selfish gain, it is divine expression. I am here to reflect God's abundance through the work of my hands, the love of my heart, and the faith of my words. I affirm, I know what I am here to do, and I do it joyfully. My purpose blesses the world and prospers me. Every idea I receive serves both spirit and man. Purpose keeps me steady when appearances shake. It holds me to truth when distractions call. It reminds me that wealth without purpose is hollow. But purpose filled with God becomes an endless source of supply. When I live in purpose, I do not chase, I attract. I do not fear, I flow. I do not strive, I serve. My purpose is guided by divine intelligence, and it always leads to abundance, for the universe funds what it creates. I no longer ask, what do I want? I ask, what does God want to express through me? And as soon as I ask, the answer comes clear, luminous, unmistakable. Gratitude opens the door. Faith walks through it. Purpose shows where to go. These three are the trinity of manifestation. Gratitude keeps me in harmony with supply. Faith connects me with the power that fulfills. Purpose directs the current toward the highest good. Together, they make me a living magnet of miracles. So today I live in the rhythm of the Trinity. I thank before I see. I believe before I receive. I act before I understand. And the universe rushes to meet me halfway. I no longer wait for proof. I become proof. I no longer hope for blessings. I radiate blessings. I no longer seek signs. I am the sign. For gratitude, faith, and purpose make me one with the infinite. They turn my heart into a magnet, my mind into a channel, and my life into an example of divine abundance. It is done. It is sealed. It is manifest now, under grace, in perfect ways. There is no competition in spirit. There is only creation. The moment I compete, I fall out of divine order. The moment I create, I rise into divine flow. I do not struggle for what others have, for what is mine, by divine right, can never be taken, delayed, or denied. The law of supply is infinite, and it provides for every soul according to their faith and vibration. I affirm, I create through peace, not pressure. I prosper by divine ideas, not by competition. My supply is as endless as God's love. When I live in fear of lack, I cut myself off from infinite circulation. When I live in faith, I move with the current of divine abundance. There is no rivalry in truth. Every person's success adds to the success of all. The universe is expanding, not shrinking. Therefore, there is no need to take, only to receive, to express, and to create. Many live by the law of struggle. They believe they must fight to survive, push to succeed, and take before they are taken from. But in God's universe, nothing is stolen. Everything is shared through divine order. The flower does not compete with the tree beside it. The sun does not fight the moon for its place in the sky. Each fulfills its purpose in harmony, and so must I. When I create from divine inspiration, I never interfere with another's good. My success blesses, never deprives. My increase multiplies, never divides. I now move from the plane of fear to the plane of faith. I no longer chase, I attract. I no longer grasp, I give. I no longer compare, I create. For competition is the voice of lack saying, there isn't enough. Creation is the voice of spirit saying, there is more than enough. Every time I create something useful, beautiful, or uplifting, I expand the universe itself. I become a vessel of God's ideas, and those ideas become wealth for all. The artist, the teacher, the entrepreneur, the mother, the dreamer, all are creators in the field of divine mind. Each receives unique ideas from the infinite, and through those ideas, new channels of prosperity open. So I no longer envy others. I bless them. For their success proves that God is active. And if God is active for them, God is active for me. I affirm, there is no competition in my world. All flows from the same source. I celebrate others' blessings, for they multiply my own. Every act of creation increases the total good. The competitive mind says, there's not enough room. The creative mind says, there is infinite space for divine expression. The competitive mind rushes to be first. The creative mind knows that divine order never misses timing. When I work in fear, I hurry and exhaust myself. When I work in spirit, I move with divine precision, and all unfolds easily. I am not in competition with anyone, not even with myself. I am in cooperation with the infinite. As I create from love, peace, and service, my prosperity becomes inevitable. What I give returns multiplied. What I bless expands beyond measure. What I share circulates and comes back pressed down and running over. I live now by the law of divine circulation, the eternal movement of giving and receiving. As I send forth beauty, wisdom, and truth, the universe returns them to me as money, opportunity, and favor. There is no limit in divine substance, only the limits we imagine. So I imagine no boundaries. I see only expansion. I feel only abundance. I think only increase. I do not compete for clients, divine right clients seek me. I do not chase success, success follows me. I do not fear others rise, for as they ascend, the vibration of the whole world lifts higher. Every good I do blesses the whole, and the whole returns it to me multiplied. This is the law of creation. This is the way of peace. I no longer operate by anxiety, deadlines, or rivalry. I operate by inspiration, intuition, and divine timing. My supply is infinite because my source is infinite. My opportunities are endless because my ideas come from the one mind that never runs out. If ever the thought of competition tempts me, I remind myself, there is enough for all. My good is unique, perfect, and divinely appointed. No one can take what is mine, and I cannot miss what is meant for me. I choose creation over comparison. I choose cooperation over competition. I choose peace over pressure. For in peace, God speaks. And when God speaks, creation happens. Therefore, I move now in perfect assurance. Every inspired idea I act upon blesses others and enriches me. Every divine plan I follow expands life for all. Every word I speak in truth multiplies good in the world. I am a creator, not a competitor. I am a giver, not a grabber. I am a channel of increase, not a vessel of fear. And as I create in harmony with divine law, I prosper with ease. I bless all paths, all people, all progress. For in God's universe, there are no rivals, only reflections of infinite good expressing through many forms. I create, I circulate, I expand, and I prosper now, under grace, in perfect ways. It is done, it is sealed, it is manifest now. Increase is the rhythm of God made visible. Every star expanding in light, every flower unfolding its petal, every soul awakening to its power, all proclaim the same law. Life forever increases. When I live in the spirit of increase, I live in tune with the universe itself. I become a channel through which divine abundance flows easily and endlessly. I affirm, wherever I go, I bring increase. Everyone I meet feels richer for having met me. Everything I touch multiplies under grace. The world often teaches subtraction, fear, comparison, scarcity. But divine mind knows only addition and multiplication. To dwell in increase is to think as God thinks, always expanding, never retracting. When I praise, I expand. When I bless, I multiply. When I complain, I contract. So I choose praise over complaint, blessing over judgment, gratitude over criticism. Each thought of increase sends a ripple through creation, awakening new good in places unseen. I now radiate the vibration of increase in my words, my work, my presence. People feel uplifted in my company because I silently affirm, you are prospering, you are advancing, you are loved by an infinite source. The energy of increase flows from my eyes, my tone, my attitude. I become the evidence that God's supply never runs dry. The vibration of increase begins within. When I feel joy in small things, large blessings hurry to find me. When I give thanks for every coin, the river of gold widens. When I speak kindly of another's success, I magnetize my own. Therefore, I practice this law each day. I speak increase. I feel increase. I expect increase. And because expectation is faith in motion, increase must answer. If ever discouragement whispers, you are standing still, I answer, in spirit, I am advancing. If appearances suggest decrease, I affirm, divine order is multiplying my good beyond sight. For truth is not what I see, truth is what I declare. Every generous act expands the circle of wealth. When I give a smile, I plant a seed of joy. When I offer help, I sow a harvest of favor. When I share wisdom, I call forth new ideas. The more life I give, the more life gives to me. This is the eternal current of increase, outflow, and inflow, giving and receiving, always balanced, always growing. I no longer fear to give, for giving is proof that I am already supplied. I no longer fear to receive, for receiving allows God to give again. Thus, I keep the river moving, generous, open, alive. Wattles called it the impression of increase. Florence calls it the presence of increase. It is not what I do once, it is what I am every moment. I let my thoughts increase in beauty. I let my words increase in faith. I let my actions increase in love. And the outer world cannot help but mirror that inner expansion. Where others see limitation, I see beginnings. Where others feel envy, I feel inspiration. Where others give up, I go within and find the next divine idea waiting to blossom. I now affirm, I am the channel through which increase flows. I am a magnet for progress, promotion, and prosperity. Every person and every situation in my life is moving toward greater good. The vibration of increase surrounds me like light. It draws opportunities I never imagined, friendships that uplift, and wealth that blesses everyone it touches. I no longer chase abundance, I radiate it. I no longer wait for success, I embody it. I no longer hope for miracles, I live in them. To live in increase is to be peace in motion. It is to know that every heartbeat echoes the rhythm of creation. It is to say each morning, more life, more light, more love, and watch the day obey. So I send this decree through all realms of being. I am a living center of increase. All who come near me rise higher. All that I give returns multiplied. All that I am expands forever in God's abundance. And now, under grace, in perfect ways, I rest in the current of divine growth. I trust it, I thank it, I bless it. Increase is my natural state. Expansion is my divine rhythm. Prosperity is my birthright fulfilled. It is done. It is sealed. It is manifest now, under grace, and in perfect ways.
There is a divine law, a spiritual current, a mystical key hidden in plain sight, and it turns with a single phrase. For every man and woman who dared to speak it with unwavering faith, the gates of lack crumbled. Poverty dissolved like mist before the morning sun. For this is no ordinary statement. It is the sacred password to abundance. And no one who said it, truly said it, ever stayed broke. You see, your word is your wand. It is not mere talk, not idle speech, but the living seed of manifestation. What you declare with conviction, the universe rushes to fulfill. So many walk through life declaring their lack, rehearsing their limitations, wondering why their pockets remain empty and their dreams half-built. but those who learned to speak the language of divine supply, those who aligned their voice with the great law of prosperity, saw their circumstances turn as surely as the tide obeys the moon. The law does not care about your past, your bank balance, or the debts stacked against your name. It only listens to your present word, and if that word is one of lack, it multiplies lack. But if that word is one of power, of unseen abundance, of unwavering expectation, it must deliver. That is the immutable principle, the rhythm of divine compensation. There is a phrase, a declaration, that the wealthy in spirit have always known. A simple utterance that shifts the frequency of your whole being. And when it is spoken, not doubting, not begging, but knowing, it calls forth provision from the invisible. Jobs appear. Opportunities unfold. Doors swing open where before there were only walls. This is not magic, it is not wishful thinking, it is law. Invisible law, yes, but law nonetheless. And like gravity, it does not fail. You are not here to chase money, to strain, to scramble. You are here to align, to speak with authority, to claim the abundance that is your divine inheritance. And let me remind you, no one, not a single soul, who said this with faith, stayed broke. The turning point came the moment they turned their tongue to truth. The universe rearranged itself in their favor, as it will for you. Because when you speak from the place of divine knowing, all of heaven leans in to respond. Your word is your wand. Speak abundance, not lack. This is not poetry, nor is it metaphor. It is truth, a spiritual law as certain as gravity. What you speak into the ethers is what you call into form. Your word is not idle noise, it is a vibrational force that moves the unseen into the seen. When you say, I can't afford that, you set into motion a current of lack. You sign an invisible contract with limitation. But when you say, everything I need is already on its way to me, you invite divine supply to rise and meet you. Your speech is not separate from your reality. It is the blueprint from which reality is built. There are those who go through life unaware of the creative power of the tongue. They speak carelessly, proclaiming their worries, their debts, their inability to make ends meet, and then wonder why life delivers more of the same. They rehearse their troubles as if by doing so they can control them, but all they are doing is watering the weeds instead of the flowers. Every spoken word is a seed, and the soil, which is divine substance, does not discriminate. It will grow whatever is planted, fear or faith, lack or plenty, complaint or gratitude. The universe hears you, not through your hopes, but through your declarations. The individual who understands this principle knows that their word is the first act of creation. Just as in the beginning, the world was spoken into existence, let there be light. So too must your world be spoken into harmony. What you say about money, about work, about opportunity, shapes your magnetic field. Speak scarcity, and your field contracts. Speak abundance, and your field expands to receive it. The universe cannot override your vibration. If your words say, there's never enough, that is the door you keep open, and through it, more insufficiency will arrive. It takes discipline to watch the tongue. It takes spiritual maturity to stop oneself before uttering, I'm broke, or that's too expensive, or that'll never happen for me. These are not harmless phrases. They are affirmations of misalignment. They are tiny curses spoken over your own harvest. Each time you declare lack, you reinforce it. But each time you declare provision, even when the outer world does not yet reflect it, you are choosing to walk by divine sight, not material sight. You are standing in the truth of the invisible supply that is always, always present. To speak abundance does not mean you lie or pretend. It means you choose which reality to give your energy to. It means you acknowledge the facts, but you do not make them your truth. The facts may say your account is low, but truth says divine supply is unlimited and already moving toward you. The facts may say you've lost a job, but truth says that every closed door is followed by a greater one. The tongue that speaks abundance sees beyond the immediate. It claims what is coming before it arrives. It blesses what is not yet visible. And in doing so, it magnetizes the very blessings it names. Most people were trained from childhood to speak fear, to speak what they see, to declare problems and call it being realistic. But realism rooted in fear is just another form of surrender to limitation. To be spiritually realistic is to speak the truth of divine law, even when the material world looks barren. It is to say, I am provided for in every way, when your wallet is empty. It is to say, I prosper wherever I go, when the doors seem closed. This is not delusion, this is creative power at work. Your word draws the unseen into form. What you repeat, you energize. There are those who experience sudden shifts in fortune simply because they changed the language of their life. They stopped calling themselves broke. They stopped cursing their work. They stopped declaring how hard everything was, and instead, they began to say, money flows to me easily. I am a magnet for divine opportunities. Everything I touch turns to gold. These words, spoken with faith, become commands. They do not merely echo in your mind, they set the invisible gears of the universe into motion. Supply begins to find you. Solutions appear. The tide turns not because the world changed, but because your word changed the world you see. There is great responsibility in understanding that your word is your wand. It means you can no longer afford the luxury of complaining. It means that sarcasm, self-pity, and casual despair are not just bad habits, they are spiritual sabotage. Every word you speak is a decree, and so, the wise individual speaks with intention. They guard their tongue like a sacred instrument. They speak only what they wish to see made manifest. They do not curse their finances, even in jest. They do not speak ill of their future, even in uncertainty. Instead, they bless their path, their income, their gifts, their potential. This is not a matter of being cheerful or optimistic. This is a matter of aligning with divine law. The law that says, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. And your belief is most clearly revealed through your speech. You may say you believe in abundance, but if your daily language is filled with lack, your true belief has been exposed. Belief is not what you say in meditation. It's what you say when you're under pressure. When the bills arrive. When the job falls through. When the numbers don't add up. In those moments, do you speak abundance? Do you say, even now, the supply is coming? Or do you repeat the old pattern? It's always like this. Nothing ever works out. I never have enough. Your reality bends to your word. To speak abundance is to retrain the tongue and renew the mind. It is to catch yourself in the middle of a limiting sentence and redirect it. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, say, that is coming to me in divine timing. Instead of saying, there's no way, say, the way is being made clear. Instead of saying, money doesn't grow on trees, say, money is spiritual substance and it flows freely. These are not games of language. They are realignments of frequency. You are broadcasting to the universe with every word you utter. Speak what you want to receive. Speak what you wish to become. Speak what aligns with truth, not appearances. Speak abundance. The law of prosperity responds to unwavering faith. This is not a wish, not a hope, not a gamble. It is a principle, a spiritual law unchanging and impartial. It is not moved by pleading. It is not activated by anxiety. It does not respond to half-belief, to occasional declarations, or to the wavering of the double-minded. It moves in accordance with faith. Faith that stands firm, that does not flinch, that knows what it knows even in the absence of proof. Just as a seed planted in soil will grow when given the right environment, so too will the substance of prosperity rise to meet the one who believes without hesitation. Faith is not merely an emotion. It is not a burst of spiritual excitement that fades with the setting sun. It is a posture, a state of knowing so deep that it becomes your foundation, your breath, your rhythm. Unwavering faith does not ask, what if this doesn't work? It declares, it is already done. And when that declaration is sincere, when it is felt in the marrow of your bones, the law of prosperity begins to yield its treasures. For the law is exact, it mirrors your inner world. It is not moved by desperation. It is moved by certainty. Those who live in constant worry over money often misunderstand this. They think they must strive, beg, prove their worthiness. They think they must do more, push harder, grind endlessly just to stay afloat. But all the while their hearts are filled with fear. And fear, no matter how much effort is wrapped around it, cannot yield abundance. Because the law hears the energy behind the action. If you are working from faith, your harvest will multiply. If you are laboring from fear, your efforts become dust in the wind. It is not your action alone that produces wealth, it is the vibration with which you act. Unwavering faith is still when others panic. It holds firm when the facts look bleak. It is not blind, it simply sees beyond the facts. It is not foolish, it is rooted in spiritual truth. It says, "The supply is already prepared. My needs are already met. The way is being revealed, even if I do not yet see it." This faith is not fragile. It does not break under pressure. In fact, it often emerges strongest in moments of greatest challenge. Because in those moments, all illusions fall away, and the soul must choose what it truly believes. You cannot fool the law with lip service. You may speak affirmations daily, but if your inner posture is fear, doubt, and worry, then that is the message the law responds to. The law of prosperity does not respond to words, it responds to conviction. It listens not to what you say once, but to what you hold constantly. Faith is consistency. It is spiritual muscle built through repetition, through testing, through choosing again and again to trust the invisible over the visible. There are many who start strong. They declare boldly. They affirm daily. But as soon as results do not come in the time they expected, they fall back into doubt. They question the law. They question themselves. They speak of divine timing but secretly harbor frustration. This is not unwavering faith. It is conditional faith. And conditional faith is powerless. It is like a flame exposed to the wind. It flickers, it fades, it cannot warm or illuminate. The law of prosperity waits patiently, but it does not respond to instability. It aligns with the one who says, "Even now, even here, I know that all is working together for my good." To cultivate unwavering faith, one must learn to become inwardly still. To quiet the noise of the world, the voices of limitation, the echoes of past disappointments. To sit with oneself in silence and remember the truth, that divine substance is infinite, that nothing is too hard for spirit, that every desire is already known and answered before it is spoken. This knowing must become more real than the numbers on the screen, more powerful than the letters in the mailbox, more present than the opinions of others. Faith is not built on appearances. It is built on spiritual substance, which is eternal and unchanging. Many wait for signs before they believe. But the law does not work that way. You believe first, and then the signs appear. You walk forward as if the path is already clear, and in doing so, you clear it. This is why unwavering faith is so powerful. It moves ahead of manifestation. It pulls the future into the present by its sheer certainty. And the law of prosperity, being governed by spiritual cause, cannot help but respond. Fear will always knock, doubt will always whisper. But unwavering faith does not entertain them. It sees them as passing clouds, and does not build its house upon their shadows. It builds on rock, not sand. It anchors itself in the reality of divine law, not in economic forecasts, family patterns, or past failures. It knows that the power that created universes is the same power that flows through you. And that power does not run out. It does not falter. It does not play favorites. It responds to alignment. You do not need to understand how the supply will come. That is not your concern. Faith does not micromanage the method. It trusts the outcome. It opens the door, it keeps the porch light on, it prepares the room. It walks as if the answer is already here. And when you walk like that, talk like that, think like that, the law of prosperity has no choice but to match your vibration. There are those who have very little by material standards, but their faith is unshakable, and abundance begins to find them in miraculous ways. Not because they did everything perfectly, but because they held the vibration of certainty. They did not ask the law to prove itself, they acted as though it already had. This is the difference between wishing and knowing. Wishing is weak, knowing is magnetic, and the law of prosperity bends to knowing. You must choose daily, hourly, sometimes moment by moment, to return to faith. When a bill arrives unexpectedly, when the sale falls through, when the numbers don't add up, you stop. You breathe, you remember. The law has not changed. Supply has not diminished. You are not being tested, you are being trained to hold faith in the face of contradiction. This is the spiritual practice. This is the hidden wealth. Not what is in the account, but what is in the soul. There are no accidents in this law. If you declare wealth, if you stand in that truth, the doors will open. Maybe not in the way you imagined, maybe not on your timeline, but they will open. The key is to keep the vibration steady, to be unmoved by appearances, to hold your tongue when the old pattern wants to speak, to guard your thoughts like treasure, because they are the currency of the unseen. And when those thoughts are shaped by unwavering faith, they become gold. Declare supply, not need. Manifestation follows belief. Every word you speak is a signal to the universe. Every sentence is a silent instruction, a blueprint, a permission slip for what can or cannot be built in your reality. When you declare need, you are affirming its presence. When you declare lack, you are claiming it as your own. The law does not discern between what you want and what you fear. It responds to what you declare as truth. If your conversation is filled with, I need, I don't have, I wish, you are confirming absence. You are turning your gaze toward the void and expecting it to return something of substance. But when you declare supply, you call into form the abundance that already exists in the invisible. The moment you say, I have everything I need, you begin to tune your energy to the frequency of provision. This is not delusion, it is alignment. This is not denial. It is creative truth, for spiritual law responds to the inner climate, not outer conditions. If you stand in the vibration of supply, even when the shelf is empty, the shelf begins to fill. If you walk as if the path is paved, the stones rise up to meet your feet. But if you continuously affirm your need, the law will continue to mirror it. Need is not the magnet for manifestation. Belief is. You were not born to beg the universe. You were not designed to declare desperation. Your spiritual inheritance is not in constantly affirming what's missing. You were created in the image of divine power, and your word holds the same authority. When you declare supply, you are not pretending. You are awakening to the greater truth that provision is already present, simply awaiting your recognition. The substance of what you need is around you now, and it begins to shape itself into form the moment you stop affirming its absence. The words, I need, carry a vibration of separation. They assume that what you desire is outside of you, far away, unavailable. But divine law works from within to without. If you feel something is missing, it is not a call to plead. It is a call to align. Instead of saying, I need money, you declare, money is circulating freely through my life. Instead of saying, I need clients, you affirm, those who are seeking my service are already finding me. You shift your statement from lack to fulfillment, from separation to embodiment. This is how belief draws the invisible into form. When you speak of need, you rehearse powerlessness. You remind yourself of what you believe you do not yet possess. And this repeated pattern becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. The law does not override your declarations. It echoes them. You cannot expect the law to deliver supply while you continue to speak in terms of lack. It is not enough to wish for abundance. You must speak as if it is already yours. You must claim it with authority. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual obedience. The law works through certainty, not hesitation. There is no virtue in constantly declaring struggle. It may be familiar. It may even feel humble, but it is not aligned with truth. Truth is that divine substance is infinite and present now. Truth is that your desires are known and supported. Truth is that your word activates that support. When you say, I have more than enough, even while appearances say otherwise, you are planting a seed in the invisible. That seed, watered with belief and consistency, must grow. But if you keep digging it up with declarations of need, it cannot take root. Many believe that if they speak boldly of supply, they are ignoring their problems. But spiritual law does not operate through the lens of problem. It operates through the lens of cause. The cause of your outer world is always your inner belief. If you want the form to change, you must change the cause. And that begins with speech. Not just words spoken aloud, but the silent speech of your mind, the conversation you have with yourself about money, opportunity, success, and provision. Every internal statement carries weight. Every internal declaration is a vibration that moves the substance of your world into order or disorder. Declaring supply is an act of spiritual dominion. It is the refusal to be ruled by appearances. It is the choice to speak as if the law is true, even when your senses suggest otherwise. You do not wait for proof before you declare. Your declaration is the proof. The one who waits to see before they believe is a servant of circumstance. The one who believes before they see is a master of manifestation. And mastery begins with speech. With every declaration of supply, you are exercising the creative power of belief. You are building the invisible structure that the material world must follow. There is a rhythm to this, a practice. You do not declare once and then slip back into fear. You declare daily, hourly, moment to moment if needed. You anchor yourself in the vibration of sufficiency. You catch the inner voice that wants to whisper, "Not enough," and you replace it with, "I am fully provided for." You interrupt the pattern of fear with the frequency of truth. You do not argue with lack. You speak over it. You override it. You reprogram the atmosphere with your word. It is not the size of your desire that matters, it is the strength of your belief. A whisper of faith is more powerful than a scream of fear. And belief is shown in what you declare. Those who walk in prosperity are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are often the ones who refuse to speak from lack. They refuse to call need their identity. They refuse to define their world by their bank statement. Instead, they spoke from the realm of the unseen, and the seen had to adjust. To declare supply is to become magnetic. It shifts your posture. It opens your awareness. It trains your intuition to spot opportunities that once seemed invisible. It attracts people, ideas, and circumstances that resonate with your spoken truth. The law cannot resist a consistent declaration. It does not weigh your worthiness. It does not ask if you've earned it. It simply mirrors the command you give it through belief. When that command is, "Supply is mine now," then supply must obey. Because all form is the servant of spiritual cause, and the highest cause is belief. There is no need too great, no gap too wide, that cannot be closed by a shift in declaration. What you speak must reflect what you desire, not what you fear. Speak abundance when the cupboards are bare. Speak increase when the flow feels slow. Speak fulfillment when the answer seems delayed. Because delay is not denial, it is preparation, and your consistent declaration is the invitation that draws it forth. Declare supply, not someday, not later, but now. Because manifestation does not wait on time, it waits on belief. Abundance is your divine inheritance, not a reward. This truth stands at the center of spiritual law and cannot be altered by tradition, opinion, or external condition. You were not placed on this earth to strive endlessly, to earn the right to have enough, or to prove yourself worthy of supply. You were born with access. You were born into the flow of an infinite substance that cannot run out, cannot be diminished, and cannot be restricted unless you agree to restrict it within your own consciousness. Abundance is not something you have to chase, barter for, or beg for. It is already assigned to you by divine design. The confusion arises when people mistake supply for something earned through effort alone. They are taught from an early age that if they work harder, push more, deny themselves, and follow all the right rules, eventually they might be blessed with enough. This belief creates an atmosphere of unworthiness and struggle. It trains the mind to think in terms of transaction, not truth. It conditions the heart to feel separate from the very good it longs for. But spiritual law is not a system of merit, it is a system of alignment. It does not deliver abundance because you have checked the right boxes. It delivers it because you have claimed what is already yours. To inherit something means it belongs to you by birthright, not by achievement. It means it cannot be taken, though it can be ignored. The inheritance of abundance is not in a bank account or an external source. It is woven into your being, waiting to be activated by awareness. The moment you recognize this truth, you shift from seeker to receiver. You move out of the vibration of striving and into the vibration of allowing. You no longer try to earn abundance, you express it. You no longer try to manufacture success. You radiate the belief that it is already part of your path. There is no law in the universe that rewards suffering with wealth. Suffering is not spiritual currency. Lack is not a badge of holiness. Struggle does not create virtue. These ideas may have been passed down through generations, but they are misinterpretations of divine principle. Abundance has always been yours, even before you asked, even before you imagined it. It is not given in exchange for sacrifice. It is revealed through consciousness. The more you attune to this idea, the more you will begin to experience supply in all its forms: material, emotional, spiritual, and relational. When you look at nature, you see this principle illustrated perfectly. The sun does not ration its light. The trees do not compete for air. The ocean does not calculate how much water to hold back. All of creation moves in a rhythm of overflow. You, being part of that same divine design, are also built for overflow. Not just to survive, but to thrive. Not just to get by, but to expand. And this expansion is not selfish. It is sacred. Your abundance blesses others. Your prosperity creates a ripple of opportunity, beauty, and generosity. That is why it is your inheritance. Because it is meant to flow through you, not just to you. To access this inheritance, you must first release the belief that you are separate from it. As long as you see abundance as something out there, something you might reach if you try hard enough, you are standing outside the gates of your own kingdom. The truth is, you are already inside. The vault is open. The treasure is within. But you must choose to believe it. You must speak it. You must act as if it were true, even before the evidence appears. Because the law does not respond to waiting. It responds to knowing. And the moment you know that abundance is yours, the law moves to fulfill that knowing. Do not mistake temporary lack for eternal truth. There may be seasons where the outer world appears lean, where the flow seems hidden, where resources seem delayed. But those seasons are not a reflection of your worth or your future. They are simply echoes of old beliefs, dissolving as you step into greater awareness. They are opportunities to stand in your inheritance even when the world says otherwise. They are chances to declare, I am prosperous, I am provided for, I am supplied, with unwavering conviction. This declaration is not wishful thinking, it is spiritual alignment. There is no spiritual nobility in lack. It teaches nothing except fear. It breeds anxiety, not growth. Yet many cling to it because it feels familiar. It feels like the way things have always been. But familiarity is not the same as truth. Just because you've lived in lack does not mean you belong to it. Just because others have struggled does not mean you are destined to struggle. Your inheritance is untouched by history. It is untouched by generational patterns. It is untouched by the limitations of your past. It exists now, as fully as it ever will. You are not waiting for it to be formed. It is waiting for you to claim it. There are no outer forces withholding your good. The only gatekeeper is belief. The law cannot force abundance upon someone who insists on seeing themselves as poor. It cannot override a consciousness of deprivation. But the moment you begin to speak from your inheritance, saying, I have what I need, I live in abundance, I expect increase, you unlock the flow. The law responds swiftly to identity. When you identify as abundant, your world must reorganize to match that identity. Circumstances shift, people appear, ideas land, doors open, not because you earned it, but because you aligned with what was already yours. This inheritance is not limited to wealth alone. It includes peace, joy, fulfillment, and purpose. True abundance is never about money alone. It is about wholeness. It is about living in the fullness of who you are, without fear, without apology. without self-sabotage. It is about taking up space in the world, knowing that your presence is a gift, your gifts are valuable, and your path is guided. And none of these qualities are reserved for a chosen few. They belong to anyone who will accept them. The law plays no favorites. It distributes according to vibration, not virtue. The decision to live from your inheritance is a daily one. Every morning, you must choose to step into the awareness that you are not lacking anything. Even if you are building, even if you are healing, even if you are recovering, you are not broken. You are not missing any part of what you need. The substance of abundance is already within you, and as you continue to align with that inner truth, the outer expression begins to reflect it. You do not chase abundance, you reveal it. You do not earn abundance, you embody it. The law of divine inheritance operates through consciousness, and consciousness is shaped by what you consistently believe, speak, and expect. No one who truly aligned their word with truth stayed broke. This is not a poetic notion, nor is it a motivational phrase. It is a spiritual law, clear and exact. When a person speaks from a place of truth, when their word reflects the divine principle rather than the appearance of limitation, the material conditions must follow. Words are not passive, they are active instruments of creation. They carry power, vibration, authority, and when spoken in alignment with truth, they become the bridge between the unseen and the seen. Poverty, lack, scarcity, these conditions cannot remain where the word of truth is consistently declared and held with conviction. Truth, in the spiritual sense, is not what is seen or felt by the senses. It is what is eternally established in divine law. Truth is that supply is unlimited. Truth is that the universe is overflowing with substance. Truth is that every individual is connected to this infinite flow and can draw from it according to their level of belief and alignment. When someone begins to speak this truth, not casually, not occasionally, but consistently, they set in motion a chain of spiritual events that must result in visible change. The outer world is simply a reflection of the inner climate, and that climate is governed by the word. Many speak of their problems with absolute authority. They affirm their lack with passion, repeating phrases like, "I'm broke," "I can't catch a break," "Nothing ever works out for me," and then wonder why nothing changes. But these statements are not neutral, they are commands. They are decrees sent into the universal field. And the field, being neutral and responsive, brings forth what is spoken. It does not judge the declaration, it fulfills it. When someone says, "Money never stays with me," they are not describing a fact, they are affirming a belief. And that belief becomes law in their life. The key to change begins not with effort, but with speech. Those who broke free from the cycle of financial struggle did so not by luck, not by sudden external change, but by first shifting their word. They began to speak from truth, even before the truth appeared in form. They said, "I am always provided for," while their account was low. They said, "Abundance finds me with ease," even when bills piled up. They said, "I live in a universe of infinite supply," even when doors seemed closed. This alignment between speech and spiritual truth, rather than speech and material fact, is what turned their situation around. Their words became prayers in motion, spiritual technology working behind the scenes to bring harmony into form. You cannot truly align your word with truth and remain broke, because the vibration of truth repels lack. It lifts you out of the frequency where lack exists. It brings you into resonance with prosperity, and prosperity cannot help but reflect itself in your world. The process may not be instant, but it is inevitable, just as water wears down stone not with force, but with consistency. So too does the word of truth dissolve the illusion of poverty when spoken without doubt. It is not about merely repeating affirmations. It is about feeling the weight of what you say. The word must be alive in you. It must come from a deep place of knowing, or at least the willingness to believe. When your word and your belief begin to walk in agreement, the law responds swiftly. You are not trying to convince the universe, you are activating it. The power lies not in the words alone, but in the alignment between the words and the spiritual law they express. There are those who have tried speaking abundance, but then quickly fell back into old habits of speech, old emotional patterns, old mental rehearsals of limitation. They wonder why nothing shifted. The reason is that they did not truly align. Their word was divided, speaking truth one moment and fear the next. The law responds to the dominant vibration. It answers the loudest voice. If that voice is fear, the response will reflect it. But if that voice is truth, steady and unshaken, the response will be abundance. To align your word with truth means to discipline the tongue. It means refusing to speak against yourself, your finances, your potential. It means no longer making jokes about being broke, no longer repeating family patterns of self-deprecation or scarcity thinking. It means choosing words that reflect the divine order, even if the world laughs, even if others don't understand. Because you are not speaking for them. You are speaking into law. You are creating your world with every syllable. And your world must eventually reflect what you continually declare. You are not at the mercy of economy, circumstance, or background. You are governed by spiritual law, and that law listens to your word. It does not hear your situation. It hears your declaration. When you say, "I prosper in all things," the law begins to align people, places, and events to reflect that truth. When you say, "I am rich in ideas and opportunities," your mind opens to creative solutions that were previously hidden. When you say, "Divine supply meets every need," you begin to attract what matches that vibration. Those who rose out of lack and into lasting abundance did so by establishing a new pattern of speech. They made the word of truth their daily practice, their mental diet, their constant companion. They refused to give their energy to complaining, worrying, or predicting failure. They spoke from the mountaintop, even when they were still climbing the hill. They knew that the view must first be seen within before it could be seen outside. Their word was the builder, the architect, the signal that guided the manifestation into being. Alignment means agreement. When your words agree with truth, your life becomes the evidence of that agreement. There is no magic in this, only law. And law is dependable. It works without favoritism. The one who speaks from alignment may come from struggle, from pain, from generational scarcity. But the law does not remember the past. It responds to the present word. It answers the now. And in the now, if the word is truth, if it is spoken with belief, if it is repeated with reverence, then the outcome is inevitable. Lack has no permanent claim over any soul. It only lingers where it is fed, spoken, and believed. But the moment a person turns their word toward truth, they begin to drain the power from the illusion of lack. They reclaim their authority. They reestablish the original pattern of abundance that has always been available to them. This is not theory, it is spiritual law in motion. Those who aligned their word with truth, who did not waver, who did not speak against their own good, did not stay broke. They rose, they received. They reflected the richness of the law itself. The universe is not poor. It is overflowing with abundance, and every man and woman has been born into a kingdom that already contains their riches. Wealth is not created by toil alone, nor by worry, nor by clutching and grasping. Wealth comes when one aligns with the law of supply, the invisible current that moves through all life, waiting for recognition, waiting for obedience. When a man recognizes the law and speaks the word of plenty, doors open where there were no doors, rivers flow where once there was desert. There is a divine design for every soul, and in that design is provision. Money, ideas, opportunities, perfect ways of expression. Poverty has no place in the divine plan. Poverty is only the shadow cast by doubt, fear, and false belief. Many Americans live under the spell of limitation because they repeat the world's chant of lack. They believe money is hard to get. They believe success is for the few. They believe the struggle is real, and so they struggle. But the truth is this: the struggle is a lie. The kingdom is here and now. To become rich, one must break with the hypnotism of limitation. One must declare, I am rich in divine substance. I see wealth flowing to me from every direction. The doors of supply swing open wide. Nothing and no one can keep my good from me. The spoken word is the key. For words are seeds. Every word man speaks builds his world. If he sows words of lack, he reaps lack. If he sows words of plenty, he reaps plenty. The soil of the universe is always fertile. It must return the harvest of the seed. The riches of America are not buried in banks or hidden in vaults. The riches of America lie in the spoken word of her people. When Americans begin to speak wealth instead of want, faith instead of fear, gratitude instead of complaint, the nation itself will blossom with prosperity. Great inventions will spring forth, new enterprises will rise. Money will circulate in ever-widening channels, and no man will be left behind who dares to claim his share. There is nothing selfish in wealth when wealth is understood. For divine wealth is not hoarding. It is circulation. It is rivers of gold flowing to you and through you. When a man becomes rich in divine order, he blesses others. He pays well, he gives freely. He multiplies opportunities for all around him. His wealth is not taken from another, it is drawn fresh from the infinite. There is always enough and to spare. The great mistake is believing that money comes by hard grind, by pushing against the tide. True wealth is effortless, for it is carried on the tide of right words, right thoughts, right actions. Americans will become rich if they will remember this law: what you prepare for with your words, you will meet in your life. If you prepare for plenty, plenty will meet you. If you prepare for struggle, struggle will meet you. Life always fulfills the picture you paint with your speech. Every word carries life, every word carries power, every word goes out into the unseen and returns with its kind. When a man speaks of wealth, he plants wealth. When a woman declares abundance, abundance is summoned from every direction. The universe listens, the law obeys, and the harvest comes in due season. For nothing spoken in faith is ever lost, and nothing declared in truth can fail to return. Words are not idle. They are the invisible tools by which man shapes his destiny. What he holds in speech, he holds in hand. What he sows in sound, he reaps in form. Many think words are small, passing things, easily forgotten, quickly dissolved. But words do not vanish, they create. The careless statement of want, the sigh of despair, the complaint repeated day after day, these form a chain that binds a life to lack. Each declaration of, I can't afford it, each murmuring of, money is scarce, is a seed sown in the soil of the unseen, and the soil must obey the seed. The result appears as empty pockets, missed opportunities, unpaid bills, and endless struggle. The man wonders why the tide turns against him, not knowing he himself has sent forth the command. On the other hand, when words of wealth are spoken with faith, when declarations of supply are made with certainty, the tide shifts. Money begins to appear in unexpected ways, channels open, debts dissolve, work flows, opportunities multiply. For words go before a man like invisible messengers, preparing the way. They enter the invisible, gather substance, and return clothed in visible form. The world is but a mirror, reflecting the picture held by the tongue. Speak lack, and lack looks back. Speak wealth, and wealth answers. It is not enough to think prosperity, it must be spoken. Thought carries vibration, but speech carries command. Thought is the seed within. Speech is the seed sown. A garden planted in silence remains hidden, but a word spoken aloud plants the seed in the great field of life, where all things must grow. When one says, I am rich in divine substance, I see wealth everywhere. My supply is endless and immediate. The soil of the universe receives that seed, and the harvest begins. The ancient law is simple. By your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. Justified into wealth, or condemned into want. The tongue is the rudder of the ship, turning the course of destiny. No matter the storm, no matter the waves, if the rudder is fixed on plenty, the ship will reach the shore of abundance. But if the rudder is fixed on fear, if the sailor speaks of ruin and loss, then ruin and loss are what he steers toward. Children learn early to repeat the words they hear, and so generations repeat the chant of lack without question. Families say, "We have never had much," and so the pattern repeats. A nation says, "Times are hard," and the echo becomes reality. But the moment a man breaks the chant and speaks new words, the chain is broken. He declares a new story. He calls forth a new harvest. The seed of wealth cannot fail when planted with faith, for it is rooted in divine law. The law does not distinguish between careless words and deliberate ones. It does not choose for you. It only reflects. If you say, "I am always broke," the law agrees and keeps you broke. If you say, "I always prosper," the law agrees and keeps you prospering. The universe is impersonal, impartial, exact. It gives back what it receives. It multiplies what it is told, and man, through his words, commands the multiplication. Wealth begins not in the bank account, but in the mouth. A man with no money, but with the word of plenty on his lips, is already rich in seed, and his harvest cannot fail to come. A man with $1 million, but with words of fear and loss on his lips, is already poor in seed, and his harvest cannot fail to wither. For the source of wealth is not in visible supply, but in the invisible spoken word. The word draws the supply, the word holds the supply, the word multiplies the supply. The farmer knows he cannot plant thorns and reap figs. He knows he cannot sow weeds and expect wheat. So it is with speech. The man who sows words of lack cannot reap prosperity. The woman who speaks words of fear cannot gather abundance. Yet many stand puzzled in their barren fields, wondering why no crop of plenty grows, while their lips are filled with the language of limitation. The soil has only done its work. It has only returned the seed given to it. The wise man watches his words as carefully as he watches his steps. He guards his tongue against complaint, against doubt, against envy, against fear. He speaks only of good, only of increase, only of supply. When tempted to say, "I cannot afford it," he changes the word. "It is not yet mine by right, but it is coming." When tempted to declare, "Business is bad," he speaks instead, "Divine opportunities are opening. New doors are before me." For he knows every word spoken sends out a command, and every command must be obeyed. To speak wealth is to honor the source of wealth. To declare abundance is to recognize the infinite storehouse of supply. To say, "Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways," is to give permission for the law to work. To say, "I am divinely provided for, I am divinely prospered, I am divinely rich," is to open the gates of the invisible treasury. The words are the key. The lock opens only to the spoken sound. Words are not mere breath, they are the breath of creation. The world itself was spoken into being. Light was spoken, life was spoken, order was spoken. And so it is with man's world. Each life is spoken into being day by day. Each man creates his world by his tongue. The rich man and the poor man stand equal before the law of speech. The one sows words of plenty, the other words of want, and the harvest proves the seed. The seed cannot lie. The soil cannot lie. The harvest cannot lie. It is all truth in action. If the harvest is lack, the seed was lack. If the harvest is wealth, the seed was wealth. There is no trickery in the law. There is only exactness. Words go out like arrows, never to return empty. They hit their mark, they pierce the unseen, they draw forth the form. Words are law in motion. Words are substance taking shape. Words are wealth made visible. The belief in poverty is the great deception that binds mankind in chains heavier than iron. Poverty is not real in the divine order, for the infinite cannot know lack. The sun does not ration its rays, nor does the ocean measure its waves. The earth does not count its blossoms, and the stars do not hold back their light. All creation testifies to boundless supply. Yet man, created in the image of abundance, speaks of scarcity, imagines shortage, fears emptiness, and thus writes poverty into his experience. Poverty is not truth, it is a shadow cast by wrong thinking, an illusion woven by fear and ignorance. The mind that believes in poverty sees only closed doors, but the mind that knows divine supply sees openings everywhere. A man who believes in lack can walk through a garden of treasures and come away empty. For his eyes are blind to opportunity. But the man who knows supply is endless can sit in a barren room and see riches forming before him. It is belief alone that makes one poor, and belief alone that makes one rich. Divine supply is like air, invisible, immeasurable, inexhaustible. To believe in poverty is to believe one can run out of air. It is as false as saying the sun has gone out because one sits in the shade. Poverty takes root in words repeated, in thoughts entertained, in fears accepted. Children grow hearing their parents speak of bills, of struggle, of not enough, and they learn the chant of lack before they learn the truth of supply. They inherit not poverty itself, but the false belief in poverty. This belief is passed like a torch, lighting the same dim fire of limitation in each generation. Yet the moment one awakens and says, "There is no lack in God's world. There is always enough. I claim my portion now," the spell is broken. The false belief dissolves and divine supply begins to flow. Supply is not created by man, it exists already. Every invention, every opportunity, every dollar that will ever be needed is already present in the invisible storehouse. Man does not need to create supply, he needs only to claim it, to recognize it, to align with it. The river of abundance flows constantly, and man is free to drink as much as he will. If he takes only a thimbleful, the river does not diminish. If he takes by the gallon, the river does not protest. If he drains a barrel, the river still flows without end. Poverty is nothing but the refusal to drink. The false belief in poverty leads to fear, and fear paralyzes action. A man afraid of lack will cling to what little he has, hoard his coins, guard his scraps, and in guarding them he shuts the doors of increase. He cannot receive while his hands are closed. But the man who knows supply is infinite gives freely, spends with confidence, blesses every exchange, and opens channels for more to flow back. His very generosity becomes a magnet. His faith becomes substance. For he does not act from fear, but from knowledge that divine supply is never exhausted. Consider the birds of the air, they neither sow nor reap, yet they are fed. The lilies of the field toil not, yet they are clothed in beauty. If creation itself is cared for without worry, how much more shall man, the crown of creation, be cared for? Poverty enters only when man turns his back on divine law, when he exalts fear above faith, when he believes in shadows instead of light. The truth remains, there is no poverty in divine order, only supply waiting to be claimed. Every man is heir to abundance. He is born into an inheritance that cannot be taken from him. Yet like the heir who forgets his rights, he may live as a pauper while treasures lie within reach. He may wander in want, because he has accepted the false belief that his portion is small, that fortune has passed him by, that life has denied him. But the instant he awakens and remembers, "I am heir to infinite supply. My good is mine now," his inheritance begins to manifest. The check arrives, the door opens, the opportunity appears, the supply takes form. False belief has woven the fabric of poverty into the world's systems. Nations speak of recessions, of shortages, of debts. Markets rise and fall. Men panic and despair, but all of this is illusion. The earth has not lessened in its resources. The sun has not dimmed. The soil has not refused to yield. Supply remains as full as ever. It is belief that creates famine, and belief that creates plenty. The man who sees only scarcity contributes to scarcity, but the one who declares abundance opens the floodgates for abundance to manifest. Poverty does not exist in truth, only in consciousness. A beggar may live in the richest city on earth and still starve, because his consciousness holds only want. A king may lose his throne and yet attract riches, because his consciousness is filled with supply. Riches are not in the bank, nor in the purse, nor in the land, they are in the mind aligned with the infinite. To change conditions, one must change belief. Speak supply, think supply, expect supply, and supply will appear. Speak lack, think lack, fear lack, and lack will appear. The law is exact and unfailing. A man who knows divine supply is unlimited, walks through life unafraid. He does not shrink when bills arrive, for he knows the money to meet them is already provided. He does not tremble when opportunities seem scarce, for he knows new doors are always opening. He does not envy another's success, for he knows his portion is secure. He does not bow to fear of the future, for he knows tomorrow's supply is as certain as today's breath. His faith is his fortune. His belief is his bank. His consciousness is his storehouse. The false belief in poverty is like a cloud that hides the sun but does not put it out. It is like a curtain drawn across a window, hiding the view but not destroying it. The moment the cloud passes, the sun shines. The moment the curtain is lifted, the view appears. So it is with supply. Remove the belief in poverty, and abundance shines forth. The wealth was always there, waiting behind the veil of doubt. Riches are like blood in the body, like water in the river, like breath in the lungs. They must move, they must flow, they must circulate. The moment they are hoarded, they stagnate, and stagnation is decay. The miser who clutches his gold clutches dust, for he has broken the law of increase. He believes in fear, not in flow. He shuts his doors and windows, believing he is keeping wealth in, but in truth he is shutting wealth out. The river that is dammed up without outlet becomes a swamp, filled with stench and sickness. But the river that flows freely remains clear, sparkling, full of life. So it is with money, with wealth, with true riches. Many think to gain security by hoarding, by grasping, by storing more than they need. But they discover that their wealth does not multiply, it shrinks. Fear is written on their faces, anxiety follows them to their beds, and every coin they cling to weighs them down. Hoarding is not faith, it is distrust of divine supply. It is saying, I must guard my good, for it may run out. But the truth is divine supply never runs out. It flows like the tide, returning again and again in perfect rhythm. To trust the law is to give freely, to spend without fear, to bless every channel of circulation. True riches are not measured by what a man keeps, but by what flows through him. He who is a channel for supply becomes wealthy beyond measure. He gives, and more returns. He blesses, and blessings multiply. He opens his hand and life fills it again and again. The farmer does not hoard his seed in the barn, for he knows it must be sound to yield a harvest. If he fears to plant, he forfeits his crop. The man who circulates his riches is like the farmer who sows generously, knowing that every seed sown must return a multiplied harvest. Circulation is the rhythm of the universe. The heart beats, the blood flows, the breath comes in and goes out, the tides rise and fall, day follows night. There is no stillness without death, no hoarding without loss. Money itself is called currency, because it must flow like a current. When a man spends with joy, pays with gratitude, gives with confidence, he sets the current in motion, and it returns to him increased. But when he spends with fear, gives with resentment, or withholds altogether, he breaks the current and wonders why poverty creeps in. True riches are not only money. They are ideas, love, service, health, joy, opportunities. All these must circulate. A smile given returns as goodwill. A kind word spoken multiplies in the hearts of others. A service rendered draws forth new opportunities. Money given in faith returns as unexpected increase. To hoard affection, to withhold words of kindness, to clutch at time and talents is the same as hoarding money, it blocks the flow. Life is circulation, and circulation is life. There are those who say, I will give when I have more. But the law is this: you must give first, and the more will come. Waiting to give is waiting for the harvest without planting the seed. The soil cannot return what has not been sown. If a man waits until he is rich to give, he never becomes rich, for he withholds the very act that unlocks abundance. Give when you have little, and you will have much. Circulate when your means seem small, and the channels will widen. Faith proves itself not in plenty but in want. The widow's mite was counted greater than the rich man's abundance, because it was given in faith, and faith always multiplies. Hoarding is born of fear, and fear destroys wealth. A man may save all his life, stacking coins, hiding notes, watching accounts, yet one turn of fortune. One market crash, one thief, one fire, and all vanishes. But he who trusts circulation cannot lose, for even if one channel closes, another opens. His wealth is not in the thing but in the law. He does not depend on the bank, the market, the purse. He depends on the endless stream of divine supply. He knows that as long as he circulates, he will be supplied. Circulation also purifies. The act of giving cleanses the soul of greed, softens the heart, opens the mind. It proves to the subconscious that supply is abundant and that there is nothing to fear. Every time one spends with joy, pays with faith, gives with love, he affirms, there is always more where this came from, and so more comes. Every time one gives grudgingly, hoards nervously, or refuses to part with a little, he affirms, there may not be enough. And so not enough becomes his experience. The law reflects belief, and belief is revealed in circulation. Even nature teaches this. The tree takes from the soil and gives to the air. The rain falls to the earth. The rivers carry it to the sea gives it back to the sky. Nothing is held forever, everything moves. A man who withholds his riches sets himself against nature itself, and nature corrects him. But a man who circulates his riches flows with the rhythm of life, and life carries him forward in safety and increase. True riches are also found in the joy of circulation. The miser may have a full chest, but he has an empty heart. He knows no gladness in giving, no gratitude in spending, no thrill in blessing others. His gold weighs him down, his fear chains him, and his hoard becomes his prison. But the man who circulates feels alive, light, joyful. Every bill paid with thanksgiving fills him with freedom. Every gift given with love fills him with joy. Every act of circulation brings him more to circulate, and his wealth becomes a song, not a burden. It is a false belief that holding tightly brings security. Real security is in knowing that the source of riches is infinite. Real safety is in the law of circulation itself. If the spring flows constantly, why fear the empty cup? Refill is certain. If the air is endless, why hoard the breath? To exhale is to make room for the inhale. So with wealth to give is to prepare to receive. To circulate is to keep the stream clear and flowing. To hoard is to dam the stream, to suffocate the breath, to block the flow. The truth is that circulation multiplies. Every act of giving sets in motion a return. Every payment blesses the giver as well as the receiver. Every coin that passes from hand to hand carries energy, and when that energy is joy, gratitude, faith, it returns increased. Money spent with fear returns with loss. Money spent with confidence returns with gain. The law is unfailing, and the test is in the spirit with which one circulates. Man has been taught from childhood that toil is the way to gain, that hard work alone is the measure of success, that sweat and strain produce prosperity. And so the world is filled with weary workers. Men and women bent under the load of ceaseless effort, believing that through sheer force they can wrestle wealth into their lives. Yet the harder they labor, the more elusive true riches seem. Their days are long, their burdens heavy, and still they struggle. For effort without alignment is struggle, and struggle is not the law of life. Life was never meant to be a battle against lack. Life was designed to flow with ease, with order, with increase that comes naturally, just as rivers flow to the sea and flowers open to the sun. Alignment is the key. When a man aligns with divine law, his work is not toil but expression. His efforts are no longer strained, but joyful. What once took great pushing and pulling comes easily, without friction. Alignment is the joining of thought, word, and action with the truth of infinite supply. It is knowing that the source of wealth is not muscle, nor hours, nor struggle, but the unseen law that multiplies what is in harmony with it. A man who is aligned can do less and gain more, while another who is unaligned may do much and gain little. Faith is alignment in action. Faith is the quiet knowing that one's good is assured, that the channel is open, that supply cannot fail. The man of faith speaks the word, and the way is prepared. He takes a single step, and doors swing open. He works, but his work is not wearisome, for he knows it is not the work that provides, but the law that fulfills. His faith makes his effort fruitful, and his fruit multiplies without struggle. Faith is not idleness, it is not passivity. It is the divine activity of believing before seeing, trusting before possessing, and walking in the certainty of unseen supply. Struggle is born of fear. When a man fears lack, he strives to secure more through force. He works long hours, he grasps at every opportunity. He wears himself thin in restless labor, yet his harvest is meager. He lives with clenched fists, driven by the belief that only through endless effort can he survive. But faith opens the hands, loosens the shoulders, lifts the heart. Faith says, I need not strive, for my good is already mine. I need only act in harmony with divine order, and the increase will come. The difference is night and day, for one life is burdened and barren, while the other is free and fruitful. The earth itself shows this law. The farmer who plows in season, sows in rhythm, and trusts the soil does not labor in vain. He does not stretch himself into anxiety, nor does he force the seed to sprout. He aligns with nature, works in harmony with its rhythms, and the harvest comes. Another may scatter seed in the wrong time, toil endlessly at the soil, fret at the skies, and find little return. It is not effort alone that brings the crop, but effort aligned with the law. So it is with wealth, with business, with life. Alignment produces effortless increase, misalignment produces endless struggle. Many believe that struggle is noble, that suffering is proof of worth. They wear their weariness like a badge, boasting of long hours and endless labor. Yet struggle is not virtue, it is ignorance of the law. The divine does not require man to grind himself into dust for supply. The divine requires only faith, alignment, obedience to the inner voice. When a man is aligned, he may do less in the world's eyes, but achieve more in truth. His steps are guided, his words are timed, his actions are blessed. He avoids the waste of misdirected energy, the losses of false starts, the detours of fear-driven choices. His way is straight, his path is clear, and increase follows him naturally. Effort without alignment is like rowing against the current. Much motion, little progress. Exhaustion without arrival. Faith and alignment are like hoisting the sail. Little strain, swift movement, the wind carrying one forward with ease. The difference is not in the river, nor in the boat, but in the way one chooses to move. The struggler exhausts himself, blaming the current. The believer trusts the wind, and arrives with strength to spare. Faith brings ideas, and ideas bring effortless increase. A man may labor years at a task with small return, until one inspired idea transforms his life overnight. That idea comes not from grinding effort, but from alignment, from listening to the quiet within, from trusting the guidance of the unseen. In faith, the mind opens, intuition flows, creative doors swing wide. The man of faith acts not in blind toil, but in inspired wisdom, and his little becomes much. The world may call it luck, chance, coincidence, but it is simply the fruit of alignment. Faith brings helpers opportunities, connections resources. Where the struggler feels alone and unsupported, the man of faith finds himself carried, assisted, supplied. People come into his life at the right time. Doors open in the right place, money appears in the right hour. He does not beg, nor chase, nor force, but simply walks in certainty, and the law arranges the details. His faith draws his supply like a magnet. His trust becomes substance, and his substance multiplies. To align is to stop fighting against life and start flowing with it. To align is to trust that the universe is friendly, that the law is faithful, that supply is certain. To align is to release worry, to lay down fear, to cease striving in doubt, and to begin acting in confidence. Work becomes joy when it is expression, not desperation. Labor becomes light when it is guided, not frantic. Business becomes play when it is inspired, not fearful. The man of faith does not escape effort, but his effort is free of burden. He does not deny work, but his work is effortless in spirit. He does not reject action, but his action is filled with confidence, timing, and ease. Struggle is not proof of strength, it is proof of misalignment. Faith is not laziness, it is the highest form of activity. The struggler says, "If I do not work harder, I will lose everything." The believer says, "As I align with divine law, my supply cannot fail." The struggler wears his body out, the believer renews his strength daily. The struggler spends his life chasing supply, the believer draws supply to him. The struggler sweats in the heat of fear, the believer walks in the cool of faith. Every man prepares for something, whether he knows it or not. His thoughts, his words, his actions, his daily habits are all a kind of preparation. To prepare for lack is to meet lack. To prepare for struggle is to meet struggle. To prepare for disappointment is to meet disappointment. Life answers the picture man paints, and the picture is revealed in how he prepares. If his house is filled with fear, if his speech is filled with limitation, if his actions are small and cautious, he is preparing for a little harvest. And life never fails to bring him exactly what he has made ready for. The law is unfailing: what you expect, you attract. Expectation is invisible preparation. The man who expects plenty makes room for it, he clears the way, he arranges his life to welcome it. His consciousness becomes a vessel large enough to hold abundance. But the man who secretly expects little never receives much, for he has not made space. He clings to the small, he clutches the old, he holds fast to what he has, and in so doing he leaves no room for increase. Supply cannot flow into a vessel already filled with fear. To prepare for plenty is to act in faith before the plenty arrives. It is to speak words of gratitude for supply unseen, to walk as though increase is already on the way, to arrange one's affairs in harmony with abundance. The merchant who prepares for more customers, by enlarging his store, by ordering more goods, by planning for growth, draws growth. The man who waits until increase is visible to prepare for it finds that increase never comes. Faith must act first. Faith builds the barn before the harvest, digs the ditch before the rain, sets the table before the feast. The preparation itself calls forth the supply. The one who prepares for plenty lives differently. He does not speak of smallness, he does not fear the future, he does not clutch at what little he has. He knows that divine supply is always more than enough, and he opens his hands to receive it. He arranges his home to welcome it. He expands his thinking to hold it. He makes ready in word and deed. His very readiness is a signal to the universe, and the universe answers with increase. Preparation is faith in action. Words of abundance must be matched by acts of abundance. To declare, "I am rich," while living in fear of spending is to speak with two tongues. But to declare, "I am rich," and then to act as one who trusts his riches, that is alignment. That is preparation for plenty. Every bill can be paid with the spirit of preparation, not fear. I pay this in faith that more is coming. Every act of generosity can be given as preparation. I circulate this in confidence that plenty will return. Every plan can be laid as preparation. I expand my affairs because I know are prospering. Each of these becomes a seed planted for plenty. And the harvest must appear. The poor man thinks he must wait to have before he prepares. He says, "When I have money, then I will act differently. Then I will plan for more, then I will expand." But the law says he must first act as if he has, and then he will have. Waiting to prepare is waiting for the harvest without planting seed. Faith prepares in advance. Faith lays the foundation before the building appears. Faith acts as though the plenty is already certain, because in truth it is. Supply exists in the invisible, waiting only for the vessel prepared to hold it. Consider the guest who expects a visitor. If he believes no one will come, he makes no preparation. The house remains unready, the door locked. But if he believes the guest is sure to arrive, he sets the table, he opens the door, he clears the room. And when the guest comes, he is welcomed. Supply is like the guest. If man does not prepare, it does not enter. But the moment he prepares, supply arrives to fill the space made ready. Preparation for plenty begins in thought. A man must enlarge his vision, break down the walls of small expectation, see himself living in abundance. He must picture success, he must imagine prosperity. He must dwell in the mental atmosphere of plenty. Then he must match that vision with words, words of increase, words of gratitude, words that affirm the arrival of abundance. And finally, he must match thought and word with action, steps that prove his faith, movements that open the door. Each level of preparation strengthens the call, and the call is always answered. Even the smallest acts prepare the way. Saving a place at the table, clearing a corner of the home, enlarging a business plan, paying a bill with joy, giving a gift in faith, all are acts of preparation. They may seem simple, but they are powerful signals to the law of supply. They say, I believe in plenty. I am ready to receive. I make room now. And what is made room for cannot fail to appear. To prepare for plenty is also to release what no longer serves. The man who hoards the old leaves no space for the new. Closets filled with worn garments. Shelves stacked with unused goods, accounts bound to old debts. All these are signs of preparing for lack. But the one who clears away the unnecessary, who releases the old with joy, who lets go of yesterday's smallness, prepares for increase. He empties his vessel, and the law fills it anew. He proves by action that he expects more, and more must come. Preparation for plenty changes one's spirit. The fearful man moves through life braced for disappointment, preparing for failure, expecting loss. But the man of faith walks lightly, joyfully, with his eyes lifted and his hands open. He expects good news, he expects opportunities, he expects money, he expects success. His very expectation draws them. His preparation shapes his world. For life is a mirror, and it reflects what man is ready to receive. The secret is simple: man is always preparing, whether for plenty or for want. His words, his actions, his thoughts are continually setting the stage. If he fills the stage with props of poverty, poverty enters. If he fills the stage with props of abundance, abundance takes its place. He cannot avoid the harvest, he can only choose the seed. And the seed is his preparation. Money is not a cold figure on a ledger, nor is it a lifeless stack of paper that slips through our fingers like sand. Money is alive with energy, clothed in the very vibration of abundance, and it responds to the way we speak to it, the way we feel about it, and the way we imagine it. When we think of money as harsh, distant, or difficult, it mirrors that very image back to us. But when we soften our hearts and approach it, as we would a cherished companion, money reveals itself to be warm, generous, and faithful. If you speak to money as if it were a woman, you begin to understand its true nature. Imagine her radiant, gracious, magnetic. She loves to be admired, appreciated, and respected. She does not stay long where she is criticized, resented, or taken for granted. But when you recognize her beauty, when you welcome her presence with gratitude and reverence, she lingers, she multiplies, and she brings joy to every corner of your life. Many chase money with fear and strain, as if pursuing a woman with desperate hands and anxious words. Yet, no true lady responds to desperation. She responds to confidence, to calm assurance, to the knowing that she is already yours. Speak to money with tenderness. You are welcome here. I honor you. I rejoice in your presence. And like a beloved woman, she will return that affection 100-fold. Money is sensitive to tone. Whisper to her words of love, not of lack. Say not, I never have enough, for those are words of rejection. Instead, speak with trust. You are always arriving at the perfect time. You come to me in streams of plenty. You delight to stay with me. Just as a woman delights in hearing of her worth, money delights in being recognized as a source of blessing. Treat money as a companion, not a servant. She is not here to be forced or commanded harshly, but to walk beside you in harmony. Invite her to the table of your life as you would a dear guest. Prepare a place for her by clearing away thoughts of fear and resentment. Set the table with gratitude, with joy, with expectation of good. And watch how willingly she sits, how easily she flows, when she feels honored. Every thought of lack is like a sharp word to her gentle ears, pushing her away. Every thought of appreciation is like a sweet compliment that draws her closer. When you walk through life with the calm assurance that she delights in your company, she will surprise you, she will bless you, and she will open doors that once seemed shut. So speak to money as you would to a woman you adore, respectfully, lovingly, and with unwavering faith. For money, like love, responds not to force, but to grace. She longs to be courted with joy, and once she knows she is safe in your presence, she will remain faithful, abundant, and ever-flowing. Money responds to energy, not force. This is the truth that lies beneath every struggle, every victory, and every experience we have with wealth. For money is not bound to figures, digits, or dusty coins, it is bound to vibration. It moves toward harmony as naturally as a bird seeks the open sky. Where there is joy, it rushes in. Where there is fear, it retreats. The mind that believes money must be forced, chased, or compelled has already closed the door to it, for energy cannot be compelled by strain. It must be invited with ease. Consider the gardener who tends to the soil. He does not tug at the roots or pull at the blossoms to make them grow. Instead, he waters gently, he cultivates patiently, and he trusts the law of growth that moves invisibly through the earth. Money responds in the same way. It cannot be dragged into your life with tension or bound by chains of anxiety. It must be welcomed with the tender assurance that it is already yours by right of divine abundance. The energy you radiate is the magnet. The force you apply is the repellent. People often confuse effort with force. Effort is the steady tending of thoughts and actions in alignment with truth. Force is the frantic pushing, the desperate clutching, the declaration that life will not provide unless one wrestles it into submission. Effort springs from faith, force is born of fear. When you attempt to force money into your life, you speak silently that you do not believe it will come willingly, and so you create resistance. Yet when your energy is calm, confident, and expectant, money arrives as a willing guest, not a reluctant captive. Think of the music of a harp. Each string vibrates with a tone that harmonizes with the touch. If you strike harshly, the sound is jarring, discordant, unpleasant. But when the touch is light, reverent, and precise, the harp sings with beauty. Money is like that harp. It vibrates with the energy you send forth. Harsh tones of worry, anger, or complaint set up a discord that drives it away. Gentle tones of appreciation, joy, and trust invite it to sing in your life. Energy is not merely thought, it is the atmosphere of the heart. You may speak words of prosperity outwardly, but if inwardly your heart is anxious and doubtful, the energy you transmit will still be that of lack. Energy cannot be masked, for it is the true current beneath all actions. One person may work tirelessly, but if they work from fear, their labor becomes a struggle that yields little. Another may move with ease, confident in unseen supply, and though their actions seem lighter, opportunities and wealth flow to them naturally. This is the difference between force and energy. Imagine a stream flowing through the land. If you thrust your hands into the water to capture it, most of it slips away between your fingers. But if you cup your hands gently, the water rests there, filling the space you created. Force is the thrusting hand, energy is the open palm. Money, like water, fills the vessel of consciousness prepared for it. The vessel is not built by demand but by alignment, by creating the shape of expectancy, gratitude, and ease. When people force money, they also force themselves into bondage. They toil without joy, sacrificing peace in the name of gain. Yet the gain they achieve often dissolves, because it was born of resistance. They labor under the illusion that more effort will equal more abundance. Yet energy defies that equation. It is not how hard you push, but how clearly you align with the truth that supply is infinite and already flowing. Energy opens the gate, force only wears down the one who pushes. Observe the world of nature, for it reveals this principle in every season. Flowers do not force themselves to bloom, they respond to the energy of the sun, the rhythm of the rain, the pulse of the earth. Birds do not beat their wings in panic to reach their destination, they ride the currents of air, aligning with invisible streams that carry them farther than force ever could. Money is a natural current of life, and to align with it, one must be like the bird, not the struggler. The bird trusts the wind, the struggler distrusts the current and exhausts himself in vain resistance. When you stand in the consciousness of abundance, you do not need to plead or strain. You recognize that money is not outside of you, but an expression of the energy within you. Every thought of sufficiency, every breath of gratitude, every quiet assurance that life provides, increases your vibration until money cannot help but flow toward you. Just as a flower turns toward the light, money turns toward the soul that radiates harmony and trust. Force blinds you to the light, energy opens you to it. There is a subtle power in knowing that nothing needs to be forced. This knowing transforms the way you act, the way you speak, the way you think. Your work becomes joyful rather than heavy, because it is infused with the vibration of love rather than fear. Your conversations shift, because you no longer speak of lack or worry, but of plenty and possibility. And your inner life changes most of all. For you rest in the certainty that what belongs to you by divine right can never be withheld. The energy of that certainty is irresistible to money. Force whispers, I must fight to survive. Energy declares, I thrive because it is my nature. Force clutches and constrains, fearing loss at every turn. Energy expands, flows, and multiplies, because it knows there is no end to supply. The law of energy is the law of attraction. Like draws to like. If you radiate desperation, you draw experiences of desperation. If you radiate sufficiency, you draw experiences of sufficiency. Money is not swayed by outer performance but by inner resonance. The universe is infinitely abundant, and money is one of its channels. It is not the only channel, but it is one of the most responsive, for it mirrors our beliefs with swift clarity. If you believe money is scarce, it behaves as scarce. If you believe it is abundant, it reveals itself as abundant. It is never the force you exert that makes the difference, but the energy you hold. This is why two people may labor at the same task, yet one prospers while the other struggles. The difference is not in the labor but in the vibration. To know this truth is to step out of struggle and into flow. You need not strive endlessly to capture money, as if it were a wild creature fleeing your grasp. It is drawn to the calm field of energy you radiate when you know that you are already one with supply. It hears your song and responds, not to the clamor of force, but to the harmony of faith. When your energy is right, money finds you without struggle, without chase, without strain. It comes because it cannot resist the invitation of joy, trust, and gratitude. Treat money with admiration, not fear. For what you admire, you draw closer, and what you fear, you push away. Money is sensitive to the atmosphere you create around it, just as a person responds to the tone with which they are addressed. If you speak of money with resentment, suspicion, or hostility, you create an energy that makes it unwelcome. But if you speak of money with gratitude, with praise, with genuine admiration for what it can do, you create a magnetic bond that allows it to flow into your life with ease. To admire money is not to worship it, but to see its beauty as a servant of good. Fear sees money as a tyrant, a cruel master who withholds, who slips away, who punishes. Admiration sees money as a companion, a faithful ally, a means through which blessings multiply. When you admire money, you are not bound to greed. Rather, you acknowledge the elegance of the energy it carries. You recognize that money, when respected, brings joy, creates comfort, and allows you to bless others. The admiration is not for paper and coin, but for the divine intelligence that flows through it. Think of a child who is constantly criticized. That child withdraws, hides, and begins to fear returning to the presence of the critic. But when the child is admired, praised, encouraged, they bloom, they return again and again with greater joy. Money is no different. Fear and criticism repel it. Admiration and appreciation draw it closer. If you constantly say, money is hard to come by, or money disappears too quickly, you are speaking words of rejection. But when you say, money flows freely to me, or I rejoice in the presence of money, you are speaking admiration that opens the door wide. Admiration shifts the heart from hostility to harmony. Many people secretly resent money, believing it causes greed, inequality, or sorrow. Yet money itself is neutral. It simply magnifies the energy of the one who holds it. To fear it is to misunderstand it, to paint it with shadows that do not belong to it. When you admire money, you release those false judgments and allow yourself to see it as it truly is, a tool, a vessel, a stream of divine supply. Admiration purifies the lens through which you view it, while fear clouds that lens with suspicion and bitterness. Money desires to feel safe in your presence, just as a cherished guest desires to feel welcomed in your home. Imagine inviting someone to your table while muttering complaints about them under your breath. How quickly would that guest leave? Yet many people do exactly this with money. They demand its presence while criticizing its nature. To admire money is to set a beautiful place for it at your table, to welcome it with open arms, to say with sincerity, "You are honored here. You are loved, you are a blessing." And when money feels that warmth, it lingers, it grows, it multiplies. Fear, on the other hand, creates walls. When you fear money, you fear losing it. You fear not having enough. You fear that it controls your destiny. This fear hardens the flow, creating a tight grip that suffocates the very thing you are trying to hold. Fear makes you chase and clutch, but admiration allows you to rest and receive. Fear whispers of scarcity, admiration sings of abundance. Fear shrinks the channels through which money flows, admiration expands them. Fear says, "There is never enough." Admiration says, "There is more than enough, always arriving in perfect time." Admiration awakens creativity. When you admire money, you begin to imagine the good it can bring. You think of the homes it can build, the art it can support, the lives it can uplift, the freedom it can create. This imaginative admiration sends forth waves of energy that attract money to fulfill those visions. Fear does the opposite. It narrows the mind, blinds the imagination, and keeps you focused only on survival. When you admire money, you do not simply desire it, you envision how it can dance through your life, blessing everything it touches. The vibration of admiration is powerful, for it is rooted in gratitude. Gratitude says, "What I have is beautiful, and more is always coming." When you admire the little money you have, even if it is a single coin, you expand your capacity to receive more. You say to the universe, "I am faithful with this blessing, and I honor it." And as with all things that are honored, it increases. To despise small amounts is to close the door to greater amounts. To admire every bit of money, large or small, is to create the energy that multiplies it. Think of money as a dear friend. A friend thrives when they feel appreciated, admired, and celebrated. That friend is eager to spend time with you, to support you, to bring you joy. But if you treat that friend with suspicion, envy, or neglect, they withdraw. Money behaves in the same way. Admiration nurtures the friendship, deepens the bond, and ensures that the relationship grows strong and enduring. Admiration also heals the hidden guilt many feel about desiring money. Some are taught that it is wrong to want money, that it is selfish or unspiritual. But admiration transforms desire into reverence. You do not admire money for selfish gain, but for the good it can accomplish. You admire it as you would admire a tool of great craftsmanship, knowing that in skilled and loving hands it can build wonders. To admire money is to say, "This too is part of the divine abundance of life, and I rejoice in its presence." The energy of admiration is gentle but commanding. It does not beg or plead. It simply recognizes the beauty of money and trusts that beauty to reveal itself more and more. Fear shouts and clings, but admiration speaks softly, yet with irresistible power. Money hears the tone of admiration and responds eagerly, for it longs to be where it is cherished. It is drawn to the light of appreciation like a moth to the flame, unable to resist the glow of genuine praise. Every thought of admiration is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness. Those seeds sprout into experiences of prosperity, for the soil of admiration is fertile with expectancy. When you admire money, you affirm that it is good, that it is welcome, that it is free to flow. That affirmation grows into circumstances, opportunities, and blessings that reflect the energy you have sown. Fear plants seeds of doubt, which grow into weeds of struggle. Admiration plants seeds of joy, which grow into gardens of plenty. Money is not meant to be feared, but to be loved, appreciated, and admired as a divine expression of supply. When you treat it with admiration, you align yourself with the law of increase, the eternal principle that whatever is praised and honored multiplies. When you admire money, you declare that you are worthy of its presence, that you are capable of using it wisely, that you are ready to allow it to move freely in your life. And in that declaration, you open the floodgates for more to come, for money cannot resist the magnet of admiration. Speak words of abundance, not lack. The tongue is a mighty tool, shaping the unseen and carving paths for the visible to follow. Every word carries vibration, and vibration becomes form. When you speak of lack, you set into motion currents of limitation, tightening the channels through which good can flow. When you speak of abundance, you open the doors wide, calling forth increase from every corner of the universe. Words are never idle, they are seeds, and each seed bears fruit after its kind. To speak of scarcity is to plant scarcity. To speak of plenty is to plant plenty. The world mirrors back to you the language you continually affirm. If you say, "I never have enough," you bind yourself to that experience. Life hears your decree and says, "So be it." If you say, "Money flows to me easily and freely," you align with the vibration of ease, and opportunities arise to match it. The law of words is impartial, it gives to you what you declare. This is why the careless utterances of worry, complaint, and doubt are so costly. Each one shapes the invisible mold into which substance must pour. Each one limits or expands the life you experience. Words of lack spring from fear. They are the echoes of doubt that say, "I am not provided for, I am forgotten, I am helpless." These words carry the energy of resistance, and resistance blocks the flow. Words of abundance spring from faith. They say, "I am always supplied, I am cared for, I am guided." These words carry the energy of trust, and trust releases the flow. To speak abundance is not to deny reality, but to create a higher reality. It is to acknowledge the truth that supply is infinite, and that you are one with it. Consider the gardener who speaks to his plants. When he praises them, tends them, and encourages them, they grow with vigor. If he scolds them, curses them, or declares them weak, they wither. The words carry energy that the plants respond to, for life recognizes vibration. Your financial life responds in the same way. Speak kindly to your money. Speak confidently about your prosperity. Speak affirmations that honor abundance, and watch how your experience begins to align with those declarations. It is easy to fall into the habit of complaint, for the world trains the mind to dwell on lack. Conversations revolve around rising costs, unpaid bills, or missed opportunities. Yet each word of complaint is a reinforcement of the very condition one wishes to escape. The habit must be broken by conscious choice. Instead of saying, "I cannot afford this," one may say, "I choose wisely in how I use my wealth." Instead of saying, "Money is scarce," one may say, "Money is abundant and arrives in perfect time." The shift in language shifts the vibration, and the vibration shifts the outcome. To speak words of abundance is to live in expectation. You do not speak them mechanically, as if reciting a formula, but with the conviction that they are alive with truth. When you say, "I am prosperous," you align your mind with the reality of prosperity, and your actions naturally follow that alignment. When you say, "Money comes to me in unexpected ways," you set your inner compass to notice and welcome new channels of supply. Words are not empty. They are directions given to the universe, and the universe obeys. Fear often tempts the tongue to undo the work of faith. One may affirm abundance in the morning, but speak of lack in the afternoon. This inconsistency scatters the energy, weakening the power of the spoken word. The task is to guard the tongue, to let no word escape that contradicts the truth of abundance. This requires vigilance, for the mind is quick to echo the voices of doubt it hears around it. Yet with practice, the habit of abundant speech becomes natural, and the old language of lack falls away. Children demonstrate the power of words with striking clarity. A child told continually that they are capable begins to believe it, and their life reflects it. A child told they are worthless begins to accept that lie, and their life reflects it as well. So it is with the words you speak to yourself about money. If you continually say, "I cannot," or "I lack," you program your mind to expect limitation. But if you continually say, "I can," or "I have," you program your mind to expect increase. Words shape belief, and belief shapes experience. Words of abundance also awaken gratitude. When you say, "I am rich in blessings," you immediately become aware of the wealth that already surrounds you. This awareness multiplies itself, for what you acknowledge expands. When you say, "I give thanks for the money in my hands," you create a vibration that attracts more to be thankful for. Gratitude is itself a language of abundance, a continual speaking of good that calls forth greater good. Every word of thanks is a magnet for more. Words are bridges between thought and manifestation. Thought alone may flicker and fade, but spoken words give thought a body, anchoring it in vibration that reverberates outward. To speak abundance is to make your faith tangible, to sound it into the atmosphere where it continues to resonate. Even when the outer evidence is not yet visible, words of abundance carry the power to summon it. They hold steady the pattern until substance takes shape. Many believe they must wait until they see abundance to speak of it. Yet the law is the reverse: speak it first, and you will see it. To say, "I am prosperous," when prosperity is not yet evident, is not delusion, it is creation. You are declaring the truth of the unseen until it becomes seen. This is the very essence of faith, to call those things which are not yet visible as though they were. Words of lack deny that unseen truth, words of abundance affirm it into being. Every circumstance is subject to change, but the spoken word plants the seed of that change. If the current condition is lack, speaking words of abundance begins the transformation. It may not happen instantly, for seeds take time to sprout, but the process begins with the first declaration. Each repetition waters the seed, each affirmation nourishes it, until the harvest of abundance appears. To continue speaking lack is to continue watering weeds. To speak abundance is to cultivate a garden of plenty. Speaking words of abundance also aligns you with generosity. When you declare, "I always have enough to share," you open the flow for giving, and giving multiplies receiving. Fear speaks of holding tightly, of clutching what little it sees. Abundance speaks of circulation, of trusting the law of return. The words you choose establish your relationship with money. Is it something to be hoarded in fear, or something to be circulated in trust? Your words answer that question with every utterance. In every moment, you are given the choice to speak life or to speak limitation. The choice seems small, but it is profound, for each word is a command to the invisible forces that shape reality. If you wish for money to feel welcomed, speak to it as a friend. If you wish for prosperity to dwell with you, speak as though it already has. Words of abundance build the house where wealth can live. Words of lack leave the house empty, echoing with complaint. Your mouth is the architect, your words are the beams and stones. Invite money as a cherished companion. To invite is to welcome without resistance, to open the door with gladness, to prepare a place where the guest feels honored and at ease. Money, like any guest, responds to the atmosphere it enters. If you greet it with suspicion, with coldness, with fear that it will vanish, it feels unwelcome and slips away. But when you greet it with warmth, with joy, with gratitude, it lingers. It grows, it becomes part of the household. To treat money as a companion is to acknowledge its presence as living, responsive, and capable of forming relationship with you. Imagine the difference between the person who begs for a guest to come yet, when the guest arrives, offers no seat, no food, no kind word. How long would that guest remain? Many treat money this way. They desire it, even plead for it. Yet when it comes they scold it, fear it, speak ill of it, or misuse it. The guest departs quickly, feeling unvalued. To invite money is not only to ask for it, but to prepare for its presence, to honor it as you would a dear friend who brings gifts and joy into your home. A companion is not controlled or enslaved, but cherished and respected. To treat money as a companion is to release the spirit of clutching and chasing. You do not bind a friend with chains, for in doing so you would lose them. Instead, you offer trust, respect, and affection, knowing they will return again and again because they are drawn to your company. Money is the same. When you grasp at it with desperation, you communicate distrust, and distrust pushes it away. When you invite it with calm assurance, you communicate harmony, and harmony pulls it closer. The language of companionship is tenderness. Speak to money as though you delight in its presence. I am glad you are here. I appreciate you. I rejoice in the blessings you bring. These words create a field of welcome. They are like a host who opens the door with a smile, who lays the table with care, who ensures every detail is arranged to honor the guest. Money recognizes such an atmosphere and rests there gladly. It becomes a loyal friend, not an occasional visitor. Invitation requires preparation. Just as you would clean and arrange your home before receiving a friend, so must you prepare your inner house to receive money. Clear away the clutter of resentment, of guilt, of fear. Sweep out the corners of doubt where you mutter, "It never stays," or "I do not deserve it." These are like dust and cobwebs that make a guest uncomfortable. Replace them with thoughts of gratitude, with affirmations of worthiness, with expectations of joy. Then, when money arrives, it finds a home ready to embrace it fully. Money delights in circulation, just as a friend delights in companionship. A cherished companion is not hidden away in isolation, but shared in laughter, in conversation, in joyful exchange. When you invite money and then allow it to circulate, through wise spending, through giving, through creating beauty, you honor its nature. To hoard it in fear is to suffocate it, to shut it in a dark room where no companion could thrive. To let it move freely is to show that you trust it, that you value its purpose, that you believe in its return. Think of how one nurtures a friendship. You give time, you give attention, you listen, you celebrate, you honor the bond. Do the same with money. Take time to look at it with appreciation rather than dread. Pay attention to the ways it supports your life. Celebrate even the smallest amount as though it were a great blessing. Honor the bond by using it with wisdom and respect, not in waste or neglect. The more you nurture this companionship, the more deeply it roots itself in your life. Companionship thrives on joy. When you invite a friend to your home, you do not spend the evening complaining that they may leave at any moment. You laugh, you share. You enjoy the moment. Treat money the same way. When it is with you, rejoice in it. Use it joyfully, not fearfully. Let it bring beauty into your life, and let it bless others through you. Joy is contagious, and money, like a friend, loves to return to places where joy abounds. To invite money as a companion is also to release comparison. You do not measure the worth of a friendship by constantly comparing it to others. You value it for what it is, unique and fulfilling in its own way. Do not belittle your money by comparing it endlessly to what others have. Admire it, honor it, and treat it as your own faithful companion. In doing so, you increase its presence, for what is honored expands. The act of invitation is rooted in trust. When you invite a friend, you trust they will come at the right time. You trust they will bring their presence. And you trust that the time shared will be meaningful. Trust money in the same way. Do not anxiously watch the door, wondering if it will arrive. Prepare your heart, prepare your life, and know it comes. This calm trust is irresistible, for it creates the very atmosphere where money longs to dwell. A companion is welcomed not only in moments of need, but also in moments of joy. Do not wait until desperation strikes to invite money. Invite it in the seasons of peace as well. Speak to it daily, honor it continually. And it will become a constant presence rather than a visitor who comes only in crisis. Just as a friend remains close when valued consistently, money remains close when appreciated consistently. Money, as a cherished companion, brings gifts when treated with love. It brings freedom, opportunity, comfort, and the power to bless others. But it also requires that you recognize your role in the companionship. You must be a good host. You must be respectful, appreciative, and wise. You must not scold it for not being enough or despise it for leaving too soon. Instead, you must greet it warmly, care for it well, and release it joyfully when it moves, trusting always in its return. To invite money as a companion is to create harmony, not struggle. It is to align with the truth that money is not your enemy, not your master, but your friend. It is to treat it with the dignity it deserves, knowing that in doing so you create a bond that grows ever stronger. Money responds to welcome as surely as any companion does, And when it feels truly cherished, it will not wander far, but will find its home with you. Gratitude and respect keep money flowing. Money, like all forms of energy, seeks the path where it is most honored. It does not thrive in neglect, in complaint, or in resentment. It thrives where it is appreciated, where it is spoken of with kindness, where it is treated as a blessing rather than a burden. Gratitude opens the heart and widens the channels through which money enters. Respect secures those channels, ensuring that what comes is valued and multiplied. Together, gratitude and respect form the atmosphere in which money feels at home, eager to stay and to grow. To practice gratitude for money is to acknowledge its presence with joy, no matter the amount. A single coin, when received with heartfelt thanks, carries the same vibration of increase as a great sum. Gratitude says, "This is good, and I welcome more of it." In that declaration, you align yourself with abundance. To complain about what is small is to shut the door to what is large, for complaint signals rejection. The universe will not send more where what has been given is despised. But the one who gives thanks for every blessing, no matter how small, creates a magnetic field that draws ever greater blessings. Respect is the companion of gratitude. It is not enough to be thankful for money if it is squandered, misused, or treated carelessly. Respect means handling it with wisdom, with order, with intention. Just as you would not neglect a precious gift given by a loved one, so must you not neglect money when it comes into your hands. To respect money is to honor its power, to use it for good, to give it direction rather than allowing it to slip away unheeded. Money, like a trusted ally, responds to those who handle it with dignity. When gratitude and respect meet, they form a partnership that sustains the flow of prosperity. Gratitude attracts, respect retains. Gratitude says, "You are welcome here." Respect says, "You are safe here." Together, they create an environment where money desires to remain. Imagine a guest who arrives at a home where they are praised and celebrated, but then neglected or mistreated. They may enjoy the arrival but will not stay. Another guest arrives where they are both celebrated and cared for, their needs honored, their presence cherished. That guest will return again and again. Money is that guest. Gratitude brings it to the door, respect keeps it within the home. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is missing to what is present. So many bind themselves to lack by constantly declaring what they do not have. They say, "If only I had more," and in so doing, they blind themselves to the wealth already surrounding them. Gratitude clears the eyes, revealing the abundance that is already here. The air you breathe, the food you eat, the roof above your head, the opportunities before you. These are all forms of wealth. To give thanks for them is to recognize abundance in its many shapes, and recognition multiplies what is seen. Respect then takes this recognition and translates it into wise action, ensuring that every gift is used well, every resource honored. Respect also means speaking of money with reverence. Harsh words, careless jokes, or constant complaints about money create an energy of disrespect that repels it. Just as no person enjoys being belittled, money does not linger where it is spoken of with disdain. Speak instead words that uplift. Say, "I am grateful for the money in my life. I use it wisely. I honor it as a channel of good." These words form a vibration of respect, and money responds with loyalty. Every word is either a welcome or a rejection. Respect ensures that every word spoken is a welcome. Gratitude cultivates joy in giving. When you give money with a thankful heart, you release it into the world with positive energy. That energy returns to you multiplied, for giving and receiving are one continuous flow. If you give reluctantly, with resentment or fear, you cut the current and block its return. But when you give with joy, with gratitude for the ability to give, you expand the channels through which more flows back. Respect ensures that your giving is thoughtful, directed where it can do the most good, rather than scattered carelessly. Gratitude empowers the act, respect guides it. Money that is respected multiplies naturally. Think of a farmer who respects the seed he plants. He does not throw it into barren ground carelessly. He chooses fertile soil, waters it, tends it, and waits with patience. The harvest comes because the seed was respected. Money, too, is a seed, when it is planted wisely, in investments, in acts of generosity, in ventures that uplift, it grows. To waste money without thought is to throw seed into rocky ground. Respect is the careful tending that ensures multiplication. Gratitude waters the seed, calling forth the harvest. Every act of gratitude shifts the vibration of your being into alignment with abundance. When you awaken each morning and say, "Thank you for the money that flows to me," you set the tone for the day. You align with the law of increase, declaring that you expect good. When you respect the money in your care, perhaps by organizing your accounts, using it for nourishing purposes, or setting aside a portion for future growth, you affirm that you are a trustworthy steward. Money loves to remain with those who honor it, for it knows it will be used in harmony with its purpose. Respect is also shown through balance. To overspend is disrespect, for it treats money carelessly. To hoard in fear is also disrespect, for it denies the flowing nature of money. Respect walks the middle path, using money wisely and allowing it to circulate freely. Gratitude adds the spirit of joy to this balance, ensuring that every use of money is accompanied by appreciation. Together, they form the rhythm of flow, receiving with thanks, using with wisdom, releasing with joy, and welcoming more with trust. Gratitude and respect transform the relationship with money from one of struggle to one of harmony. No longer is money something to be chased, feared, or criticized. It becomes a friend, a partner, a companion that delights to remain with you. Each time you say, "Thank you," you strengthen the bond. Each time you treat it with care, you deepen the trust. Money flows where it is wanted and stays where it is honored. Gratitude calls it forth, and respect gives it a home.